career AFL coach, I'm incredibly excited to be appointed the senior coach of the Fremantle Football Club, and I look forward to the challenges that lay ahead.
It was a move that no one saw coming. A masterstroke by the boys from the West. Perfectly timed and executed with cutthroat precision.
Harvey was sacked yesterday afternoon after Ross Lyon secretly negotiated a 4-year deal with the club.
I sit here very comfortable with my integrity and my honour.
Ross Lyon to the Dockers. It changed the face of these two clubs. And tonight, Ross takes on his old team. Will there be anger? Revenge? Who knows?
That's football. That's what it's become. People come, people go. As the mids, we were talking about who he might tag, so we'll see who he really rates.
But what we do know is this. Both sides will be desperate. Desperate to win. And make no mistake, this match has plenty of feeling. Get set for Eddie had to turn wild. This is Friday Night Football.
Beautiful night in Melbourne at Etihad Stadium. Two teams intriguing. The Saints have won 2 out of 3, and so have the Dockers, as we welcome you to a big Friday night game. A real edge to this match, obviously, with Ross Lyon. He had a great record here as the coach of the Saints, winning 70% of his matches, and he took them to 2, will make that 3 grand finals. He's with Lee Matthews.
Ross, thanks for your time. Well, it's amazing. Etihad Stadium is the one stadium where you have to walk up to the coach's box through the crowd. Have you got the earplugs tonight?
Yeah, I'm stiff, aren't I? I can go at the back, but I think I'll brave the reception. And people are hungry to be led, and I've got a leadership position, so you just got to front up.
Now, footy, Big Sandlands. He gets his hand at the footy virtually all the time at the hit-outs. Now, in terms of those breakaway clearances from those hit-outs, it's not something I think has been done really well. What's your thoughts on getting that done?
Certainly we've identified it during the week. We've had free players at the stoppage, and we haven't worked together to get it to the free player. We've been more running into his area, so a bit more sealing. Try and sort of screen a little bit more, identify. So, maybe 5 or 6 work for one as opposed to 5 or 6 trying to get it. Only one person can get the ball.
Now, as fans, we're always interested in what part of the St Kilda strengths that you try to sort of attack initially, particularly if you use Crowley as a tagger. Which one of the midfielders does he go to? Is it the getters or the outside ball users?
Well, I think he's a combination. We've identified Nick Del Sano. There's a number you could go to, but I just know when he's getting the ball centre forward, he's deadly. He's really precise with the ball, and he's such an inside player as well. He's leading their contested with 14, and so if we can minimise when he's got it, then just try and work off him a little bit. Should hopefully put him under some pressure, but it could have been. But we'll also identify who's getting away and maybe have to change it on the run.
Thanks, Ross. Well, good luck to get to the coach's box after that. It's up to the players.
Thanks, Lee.
Thanks, mate.
Well, I'm down here in the Saints rooms and the boys are warming up behind me, but tonight we're going to have an inside look at their defence. They've given us unprecedented access as to what they're going to do against the Dockers tonight. We'll have a bit more of that shortly. They've certainly been miserly this year. Number 1 ranked defence, 58 points a game. One of the reasons for that is they're kicking the ball efficiently. They're not turning it over, therefore their defence isn't under pressure. They're also the number 2 tackling team, so when it comes in, it's coming in high and ugly, and they're taking heaps of uncontested marks and intercept marks and rebounding from there. Now, Tommy keeps telling me that offence sells memberships and defence wins premierships. Well, Tommy, if you don't sell memberships, you can't win a premiership because you don't have a club. So I'm with the big forwards every day of the week.
Well, coming off the pre-season, a lot of speculation that perhaps Fremantle would become a more defensive club. Certainly that's not happened over the first 3 weeks of the season. If we take a look at what they've done in their last few games, in their last 6 quarters they've had 57 more inside 50s than their opponents, and I know that is making the skipper very happy. There he is, the captain, Matthew Pavlich, 7 times best and fairest, 6 times the leading goal kicker, and Tom Harley, I've got to say, the Pav looking a little bit leaner.
He certainly is, Dennis, and I've got to say it's not uncommon for senior players as they push towards the 30-year-old bracket to drop a few kilos. Pav's certainly done that. All accounts, he's down about 3 kilos. I've got a bit of a theory on this. The current game at the moment is all about the power forwards that take pack mark. Now, Matthew Pavlich, fantastic forward, but relies on getting the footy by outworking his opponent. In the modern game, there's just not enough space. So I think that Pav will actually, with his lighter frame, push further up into the midfield, and Freo will use his attacking prowess as a midfielder more so than as a power forward, and they'll rely on the smaller crumbing forwards headed by Hayden Ballantyne, who's back in the team tonight.
Thanks for that, Tom. And with Nat Fyfe, who's a late withdrawal tonight, Nat, how close did you get to playing?
Yeah, I was pretty close, basically right up into the last match committee meeting today, and then the advice we're given is given another week, their strength should improve significantly, so we didn't want to take any risks tonight.
All the best. Hope to see you next Friday night, mate. Thank you for that. Lenny Hayes, what a star, 245 games. In many ways, the heart and soul of the Saints.
Lenny drains as much out of his body as is humanly possible and always has.
He's brave. He's a good player, but he's so brave and courageous, and he's been the heart of that St Kilda midfield for a decade now.
I think it's his leadership as well. You can see him always encouraging and directing his younger teammates, trying to help them, that really wins that respect to the rest of the competition. It's his ability to win the ball in a contest and be fierce in the contest, lay really strong tackles, but then also be damaging on the outside. He's got the quality of both.
We went through some really good times together and some hard things, and I've got a lot of respect for the way that Ross went about it and the sort of guy he is.
One thing Ross left with the playing group is just to be competitive.
Yeah, it was definitely hard to see him go. We had 5 really good years with Ross.
I wish him the best of luck at Fremantle. I'm sure that club will succeed now with Ross in charge.
Certainly all the players really respect Ross and wish him well with his new team.
But obviously not against us.
He obviously knows us intimately, and it'd be interesting to see what sort of tactics he puts in against us.
We'll see who he really rates. So I think Joey thinks it's going to be him, so see what happens.
So I guess looking back to move forward, as you'd expect, a lot of respect from the Saints, who played under Ross Lyon. Now coaching this team, the Fremantle Dockers, who have won 2 out of 3. They started the season very well. Strong performance, beating the Cats. And a few changes. As you heard, Nathan Fyfe isn't there, and they'll miss him. Jack Anthony comes into the side. He will start, in fact, on the ground. And Lee Matthews, understandable, really. He's such a valuable commodity, Fyfe.
Yeah.
Wouldn't take any chances.
Absolutely. His shoulder might be a little bit vulnerable all year, but obviously they've decided to give him at least this week off.
Okay, if you're playing the Dockers, obviously you put in a lot of work, a lot of thought about Aaron Sandilands.
Yeah.
How do we assess his value?
Well, I was really interested. He gets his hand to the footy all the time. He averages 40s. We see Ross Lyon popping up through the crowd there at Etihad. But one thing we know with Sandilands, he gets his hands to the footy. He actually has 47 hit-outs a game, but they only have 10 breakaway clearances. So as we look at the Fremantle team, when you look at that before we get into Sandilands, Dennis, Stephen Hill, I suspect he'll get the Clint Jones matchup.
Well, they made 3 changes, and obviously Fyfe is one of them. Anthony will start on the ground, so he's jumped a few, leapfrogged a few. They had Neil and Ballantyne replacing Bradley and Mellington.
And just talking about Sandilands again, last week I thought we saw one of the best exhibitions of ruck. Breakaway clearances, the one where the ruckman can hit it to the ground level player who runs into space. Carlton did that fantastic last week. Now Sandilands, he gets his hands to the ball just about every time. 47 hit-outs a game he averages, but only 10 go to advantage. And the question is, and I try to ask Ross Lyon about it, can they convert this hit-out domination into what is the critical factor, the breakaway clearance into space? It's something I don't think they've done as well in the past. Question, can they do it better in the future?
So what's the theory? You've got the leaping ruckman as opposed to the standing and deliver ruckman?
Well, one of the problems is that both teams know that Sandler's going to get his hand to the footy. So I suspect the ground level players for the opposition team are looking at his hand as well. So
and it's coming down from a greater height, Lee.
Well, sometimes the predictability makes it harder because everybody knows what's happening, including the opposition.
Now, these guys think they'll know what is happening out there. Out come the Saints. Their record 2-1 as well, coming off an easy victory last Saturday night against the Bulldogs. They've made no changes to their team this week. Lenny Hayes bounced back to top form last week with 30 possessions. We saw his face earlier, and obviously he's a key in this game. But they've got some youngsters. Scott Waters giving a few players we hadn't heard of before, and a couple we have, like Stanley, and giving them a chance to consolidate a place in this team, Lee.
Well, that's what happens. It's interesting. Early in the year, they had the really big win against the Suns, and they won well against the Bulldogs last week. That big defensive role, because Zach Dawson has gone to Fremantle, it's a matter of who can play that big defensive role. One of the players I do like is like a mature age recruit, young Terry Malira from Port Adelaide. He's only played the 3 games, of course, 24-year-old. He's not a teenage recruit, but I like the look of him. I like the idea of partnerships of small forwards, and I reckon he and Milne, good tacklers, good chasers, dangerous goal kickers.
A lot of hype coming into this game as we go down to the boundary. Here's Tom and Richo.
Thanks, Dennis. Well, a lot of the focus tonight is going to be on Hayden Ballantyne, Tommy. I reckon the Saints are going to be right into him. You've had a lot of experience. You played on him in one of his first games. Tell us about that.
Mate, it was early days for Charles in 2009. I reckon it might have been Hayden's 3rd or 4th game. And within about probably 30 seconds, we just see him on screen there. He lulled us into 2 free kicks against Rio, got on a roll. He sledged me straight from the outset. I sledged him a little bit back, and I'm sure we can expect plenty of that. And they've obviously got Stephen Milne for the Saints down the other end. It's going to be exciting.
They certainly have. It's on between the 2 pests tonight, Milne and Hayden. It's good to see him out there. Milne could kick his 500th goal tonight as well, so we'll be keeping a close eye on those 2.
And Lee, just a question about Ross Lyon. Did he know he had to go through the crowd, or did you break that news to him?
Oh, no, I think he would have known. Most stadiums you can sort of go up direct to the coach's box, but Eddie had you walk through the stand, so he had to take that, which he did. And Sam Fisher, I'm sure Ross Lyon would have given a lot of attention. How can they stop that defensive rebound that Fisher gets? And, of course, Blake, really good journeyman, plays a lot of positions and has done it really well for a long time.
So the night very much about Ross Lyon, 11 seasons, or rather 5 seasons with St Kilda, a winning percentage of 63%. He had 11 finals alongside his name and 3 grand finals. So his new side against his old side on Friday Night Football, coming up very shortly.
You know, I understand the interest. I like big-time football, playing for an opposition team who have beaten us the last 8 times in a row. When you're on the Friday night on the big stage, as much as you will feel sick in the stomach and that anxiety, it's what it's all about, you know, taking the risk, putting yourself out there, and we're going there to get 4 points. I'm sure Nick and his cronies and Lenny will be trying.
So Nick Riewoldt going through his paces. It is so good to see Molly Meldrum here tonight. What a battle he's had. He loves the Saints. Jerry Ryan actually there with him. Jerry, the owner of American, the man behind Green Edge, the Tour de France team. So, Molly, it is so good to have you here. So the Saints forwards tonight, and or their defence, I should say. Richo having a look at that, and just how are they going to handle the elusive small forwards from the Dockers?
What's a real threat with what they've got in their forward line? What do they got? Yeah, okay. So where are those dangerous smalls effective? Stoppages is a red alert. Yep. If you're on Hill at a stoppage, if you're on Ballantyne at a stoppage, they'll take you up, they'll try and beat you back. You've got to use your bodies to keep them where you want them. How do you reckon Ballantyne gets a fair few of his shots? Yeah, front and square we've talked about. Goal side we've talked. How else? You see it 3 kicks. Boys, you don't have any reason to talk to him, so don't talk to him.
Good on Nick, how you going? Good to see you, mate. All right. Mate, this is Tony. Tony's going to be doing the toss for us. Mate, you can have the call. Yeah. Here's the call. And it's a tail.
So Nick Riewoldt wins. Talk about footy royalty with these 2 guys. I mean, you think of the best and fairest between them, 11, and the All-Australians between them. Riewoldt's got 4 and Pavlich has got 6. So 10 All-Australians and 11 best and fairest.
It was the work rate of both those players, Bruce, having played against them on a number of occasions, that really inspired their teammates, and that's exactly how they go about their leadership.
And you just get the impression, the way the game has all of a sudden been played so far this year, the ball's moving quickly, that it suits a Nick Riewoldt, who is always on the move to get on the end of it. And we see Jack Anthony there, who of course is the last-minute replacement for Nathan Fyfe.
And Stephen Milne, a great reception. He's the record holder here at Etihad, 310 goals here, but if he does get 3 tonight, he'll become the first genuine small forward in the game to kick 500 goals.
Yeah, it's been a magnificent play. I remember we kicked 11 against the Lions in one of the games at the last game of 2005. He's a great goal kicker on his night. A bit of angst, I suspect. That's the two taggers having a go at each other, Crowley and Jones.
So Friday night football about to roll. Physical in various parts of the ground.
Some great footage there. We just saw, Dennis, we saw Brendan Goddard pointing to Hayden Ballantyne, making a really physical cue that they're going after him, without a doubt.
Umpires tonight, Stevick, McInerney and Morrison. Hayes and Ballantyne. Opening bounce is a good one. Sandilands waits for it, got it on the way down, knocks it about 20 metres, coming up to mid at Polo. Geary has it now. Geary got it from Jones, kicks down towards the attacking 50. Milnes in front, inadvertently soccers it out of bounds.
That was a bit of the aggro at the start of the game. That's what I was talking about with Sandlands. Sandlands got the hit out, but St Kilda got the clearance.
Sandilands over the top, flicks it forward. Del Santo, hand passes inboard. McPhee in trouble. Mzungu drops it on the boot, well taken by McAvoy. McAvoy's high ball should be marked by Johnson and is.
What's there, Just?
Just takes his time. Oh, yep, okay. Main. So deep in defence, Main. Lovely kick to Pavlich.
And that's how he gets his ball as a forward. Bruce pushing right up the ground, outrunning his direct opponent.
And then a piercing kick. Mzungu loads it up. Quick ball forward. One-on-one. De Boer front spot outmarked. Polo.
Had to push back harder, De Boer. He just misjudged it in the air.
Polo out towards the wing then from behind Kazetsky. Falls to his knees as he watches the ball run out of bounds.
Saw De Boer and Polo matched up against each other. I was half expecting De Boer to play a defensive forwards role on Sam Fisher, but at this stage, that's not happening.
Sandilands with strength. Now Hayes. Jones goes with the left boot. Ricochets back to him, goes again. Well, eventually, Revolt emerges with the footy, goes to Goddard, hand passes across towards Gilbert. Gilbert, interesting bounce, runs down towards centre half forward, long kick, vacant goal square, doesn't trouble the goal umpire. It goes out of bounds on the full.
Reece, come back here, mate. Reece.
Spot on, Dennis. It was a strange bounce. And Pearce, who's been pretty impressive, hasn't he, this year?
Fisher's hurt.
Yeah, he's down, Fisher. So just picking himself up.
Stay there.
Jack Anthony came in for Nat 5.
Play on, still no.
Back.
Just winded. I think Fisher will be okay.
Thanks, mate. Play on.
Good kick into Barlow, and then Barlow creates some space. This poor kick really gave a little chance to Ibbotson. Mzungu tries to get to Stephen. He can't. Stephen didn't panic. Milne going the wrong way. And did very well. And gets the ball out to Goddard, to Stephen. They're on here.
Over the top, awkward half volley, eventually controlled by Kazetsky. Sends it down towards full forward, getting in front and doing very nicely as Ballantyne.
3 attempts now, St Kilda going forward and identified the Fremantle spare player.
Pearce to Crowley. Still inside the defensive 50. You can hear the umpire. Crowley under no real duress though. Nurses the ball towards half back. De Boer comes up, thumped away by Gilbert. Goes out of bounds, so it'll be thrown in. And what's he done here? Richo?
Yeah, an interesting matchup. We heard Tom talking about Matty Pavlich being more of a running hit up forward. Well, I think the Saints think that as well. With Dempster matched up on him, you probably necessarily wouldn't have picked that matchup.
So Fisher does look to be okay, Den. He's running around all right. Montagna. Heard the call. Del Santo, beautiful hand. Armitage, a goal kicker this year. Not quite this time. Ooh. She was a good kick. It was a Del Santo kick.
Thanks, stay there.
And he really has got some poise now about him, Armitage, after struggling for... Good shot there by the camera.
He's been leading the competition for inside 50 tacklers, so his defensive pressure in that forward third has been really good as well.
Big fly from Main. Speaking of defensive pressure, De Boer got it to Hill, to half forward. Anthony did well, he just works Simkananda. Pavlich gets down low. He hasn't got the footy at the moment. Now, what will the umpire say?
Well, we're seeing the Fremantle.
Shane, I'm going through. Sorry, mate.
Thank you, please.
seeing the Fremantle half-forwards push right up, and they were able to have 2-on-2 in their forward 50. Loading up the back line at the moment, a Ross Lyon trait.
Bounce about 40 metres out. Sandilands only as far as Jones. Jones, former South Fremantle player, kicks it up towards the wing. Johnson, De Boer. Got out of trouble a bit too easily there. Kicks it down towards half forward. Juggled attempt at the mark by Polo, who was intent on shepherding. Didn't go after the footy. Mundy across to Pavlich. Pavlich to space. Crowley a chance. Can go over the top to Clark. Clark. Oh, don't know about that. Yes. As sure as you like.
Got a bit of zip about him, that Clark, hasn't he? He's big and he's tall and he's bouncing athletic.
Stephen Hill's a lot of movement at stoppages and Geary's getting in his way.
Had the umpire there, was it? So Geary getting in the way of Hill.
I think it's a bit of umpire communication because the umpires are wired up so they can hear each other talking all over the field. So I think that was a little bit of just be a little bit careful.
Do you like Clark Lee?
I think he's a really promising young player. Like he's got life and movement, got good height. He's a good foil for Sandilands, who spends most of his time on the ball. Gives you that really tall player in the Fremantle forward line.
Richo?
Yeah, what happened there, Crowley has been on Del Santo. Del Santo came off the ground. Crowley stayed on, pushed forward on his own, and it resulted in him giving that goal off. Great play by Crowley.
Gee, that was interesting. McAvoy, beautiful tap to Hayes, and then Mundy got it off him, but then the Saints got him down. Goddard, Simkin, they switch it, and then, gee, Dempster collected, but a good kick in the end. McAvoy's been very good early. That tap a moment ago, the play at half forward, and now this one as he kicks towards Revolt. And then McPhee coming in from the side and building it over the line.
Well, I've been really watching this clip. We spoke about during the game with Ross Lyon and then with Dennis before the game about Sandler's. Now, it's 6 clearances to 0 to St Kilda. So Sandler gets his hand to the footy, but at the moment, St Kilda, as a lot of sides do, are able to get the ball at ground level.
Sandilands, clean possession that time. Got it to Ballantyne. He heard your lead. Ball back towards the middle. Mark is taken by Polo, who started well. Alongside the centre circles. Goes very long, did not look. Could not have looked. 3 Dockers in the vicinity. McFarlane took the mark to Johnson. Broughton, now Pearce, towards half forward. Over the head of Clark. It's 3-on-1 here. Favours the Saints. Polo again. Swings it to Montagna from half back short. Armitage. Man on in the middle.
Don't run through the mark, please.
Malera, he decides now instead to come down the line. Armitage. Well played. Advantage paid there. He was grabbed by the leg. Malera comes into play this time, just peeling off a man who didn't run with him. So he's got the ball on the wing. Early going, and the Dockers lead it by 5. Short one. Hayes alongside the centre circles. Goes across the ground. Now Dempster. One bounce. Running it down towards half forward. Gone a long way. Takes something off the kick. Beautifully done. Disguised it very well. Fisher deep in the pocket, check side, slams it into the post.
Well, the 2 genuine shots St Kilda have had on goal have been right from the pockets. The reason for this is that Fremantle are setting up extremely well defensively with a loose man. Every time they've tried to attack the goal face, they've been outnumbered by Freo defenders, and that creates indecision, as we saw with that forward build-up for the Saints.
Giballo's kicks a poor one.
Boy, particularly when you've got the 200-centimetre ruckman near your target player and it goes above his head, that's a really bad kick in.
So McAvoy hasn't missed so far this year. He's only had a couple of shots, but he's kicked them both. He's so I was going to say he's an emerging ruckman. He probably did that a year and a half ago, didn't he?
Yeah, but I mean, usually most of the time it's mid-20s before they're really gun ruckman. He's, got a few years before he gets to that stage.
22 years of age. He was a high draft pick. He was taken in the top 10. It's a straight kick, so he's 3 for 3 this year, and the Saints hit the front.
Well, he started very well, McAvoy, and that's what they needed. Sandilands certainly has a presence, and if McAvoy can get his share around the ground, and as you heard, they're winning the clearances, that will be a huge bonus. Council of War back in the middle by the Dockers, who need to get things a little better around these packs. Margin is 2 points.
Just having a look at the Fremantle defence, and we've seen the 2 scoring shots from the pockets. We obviously got the turnover from McAvoy. Hands up there. That's Johnson, so he's identifying that Fisher's actually free at the other end of the ground. So far, Freo have been more efficient with their loose man.
McAvoy knocks it down this time. Armitage beaten to the ball by Stephen. Came across to Goddard, hooks it towards half forward. Johnson was up, couldn't complete the mark. Oh, well done. Malira through the hand pass came from Kazetsky. But eventually, the Dockers win it back. Errant hand pass from Malira. Johnson got it from McFarlane, kicks to midfield. Ballantyne met solidly by Simpkin, who knocked it down. Again, though, around the football, brought in a chance for the Dockers. Mundy feeds it back. In trouble, Subban taken high. He'll get the free kick. Just repeating. Nathan Fyfe is out of the side. Jack Anthony has started on the ground. He came in for Fyfe.
St Kilda are the one who with the 7th defender, so they're the one who set up that spare back to try and create some flow.
Subban high ball towards the wing, off hands close to the boundary line. Broughton upended, puts it out of bounds on the full. Just talking about Fyfe, we saw Bruce talking with him. Hopefully he's right for next week, but that could be a forlorn hope, I think. Whereas Ben Allen's number 7 is what he wears, his old number. That number's not a few injuries in its time.
Saints read it well to Hill. He did give me a bit of other good news, Dennis. Ballantyne through the centre. Oh, does he get it over the top? Dempster to Blake. Now Blake looks up, uses his eyes. That's a clever mark. Geary's having a good season and not a bad kick either. He's got his skipper in the pocket. And then Revolt quickly comes back to Del Santo.
Thanks, Michael. Stay there, mate. That's the mark.
And the build-up, Bruce, was Jason Blake. So Jason Blake's playing the loose man. It's Sam Fisher and Jason Blake. Chris Mayne's going to Sam Fisher to make him accountable. Mayne will draw the ball himself, but it was Blake on that occasion who got himself in genuine space and created the loose option for St Kilda.
He said, who are your best mates, sir? And he named a couple, including Morabito. I said, is he close? He said he's very close, Morabito, to coming back. So that's great news for the Dockers, as that's not so great news. He's a good kick, isn't he? Ross Lyon talked to Lee about him before the match. Del Santo goals. It was interesting when Lee Dennis said, well, who are you going to tag? Do you go for the inside guys or the outside? He said, we've picked out Del Santo. He's the guy that we're going to go for. Last year in the corresponding game, Mzungu stood on Del Santo and actually did the job on him, didn't he? He did a great job. I think he got the 3 votes that night, Mzungu, on Del Santo. But this is now a good start for the Saints. I liked the Dockers early, didn't you? But now the Saints with those couple of goals.
Well, I guess that midfield group of St Kilda players, I think you don't want to be tagged, but you at least get the compliment, don't you, when you're the one who does get tagged, and that was Del Santo that Ross Lyon gave that backhanded compliment to.
Saints by 8 points then. Rucks go at it. Kazetsky slaps it down. Taken by Mundy. Kicks it out towards the wing. De Boer slips a hand pass away. Just wide of Barlow. Picked up nicely by Del Santo to Hayes. Revolt, full-chested. That is the classical Revolt as he comes to the football and it slaps him on the chest. Hits him like a fire hose, or he hits it. Jones, Geary, long ball down towards full forward. Kazetsky did the body work, then got hit in the face by the footy. It runs free at the back. Keeping it in, McPhee, well played. Drives towards the outer side. All Saints out there though. Gilbert is about 55 metres out. Kicks into Mzungu. Ricochets across towards a play there in Geary. He was taken down. It was in the back by Subban. No, they play on. Malira at the base of the pack, pleading his case. And the umpire decides to ball it up.
Richo?
Yeah, well, one thing that's happening at the centre bounces is Brendan Goddard goes back, wants to be loose. Ross Lyon will not let that happen. He obviously rates him as a loose player. We know he put him there a lot himself. Every time he goes there, they man him up.
Montagna run down by Mzungu. And then I think it's Barlow. Can't really see. Somebody's there. And a ball up.
So the one thing you are noticing is that when St Kilda got the ball in the middle of the ground, Fremantle really are pushing back hard into the back 50 to try and block the space. So they're really attuned to that defensive pushback.
Was Barlow. So Stanley just worked out of it by Clark. Crowley. And then Mundy. Is that out on the full?
Throw it in, please, Buzz.
No.
Throw it in, please.
Boundary throw in.
I was in your way. I was blocking your way.
I feel like the Dockers need the next goal, though, don't you? I mean, they started pretty well, but Saints 4 shots to 1.
Had a really good 5 minutes, St Kilda.
You know, Dockers haven't got a good record here on the road. All those things. You feel like they do need to just hang on here and get the next one. Clark. Not so much for the 14-point margin to be, but more for the overall context of the match.
The disappointing one for Freo, Bruce, was the kick-in, where you sort of had the feeling that Fremantle had started well and then gave them one on a platter.
So bounce right half forward for the Saints. Stanley props in front. Bounce favoured Clark. Got it down to Barlow. Barlow, the hurried kick towards half forward. Pavlich is up. Couldn't hang on. Missing the footy was Ballantyne. It's gone somewhere else. They're clattering around after it. Meantime, Geary has it. Came from Gilbert. Drives it out towards left half back Stephen. Suddenly the Saints are looking sharp. The question has been raised this week. What have they beaten? Well, they're on song, at least for the moment. Subin gets in the road. Chops it off, goes short to Pearce. A man who really has made the most of his opportunities. Hand pass from Johnson. Releases Mundy. 55 metres out. Way off target. Out of bounds on the full.
Good to see Mundy back. Clearance play. Had 4 last week and only 50 minutes of play.
Well, it came on actually earlier than they expected anyway, because Fife went off last week. He was the sub. It was a good build-up by the Dockers. Poor kick in the end. Gee, Geary's been impressive. His efficiency, kicking efficiency in this first quarter has been fantastic, I reckon. A guy that kept playing for them but never played finals. Seemed that Eddie always came... Well, that's a bad throw-in.
I think we take that one back. There is a low amount of tackles. The ball is flowing so much. There hasn't been many packs. So there's just not many tackles being laid.
Yeah, it felt like Eddie always came in for Geary late in the year, and poor old Geary missed the finals, but he played one last year. Hill, piercing close. Broughton just squeezed it out. Bouncing Porton beats a couple. Gilbert had to load it up a bit. He got it as far as he could. McPhee takes the mark, squares it, and Docker's chance to build.
Ibbotson inside the centre square then. This crowd, a late arriving crowd, has really built up for Friday night. The kick goes out wide now. Here's a chance for Crowley. Aligns himself to the goal and bounces it through.
He's done that a couple of times now, Ryan Crowley. Pushed forward off Nick Del Santo, set up the previous goal. Just watching him in the build-up, lurked his way through some space.
Teams having a loose man in defence, so just watch for the blocks to allow the loose man to jump up.
So we're getting some...
I think we're really getting some good umpire feedback tonight. That was the umpires again alerting their teammates. The three umpires, what's going on. But yeah, just Crowley pushing forward, getting a goal, creating another one. That was a good win, given that Del Santo got the goal down the other end.
Tom, he's actually he averages almost a goal a match, not quite. I mean, for a stopper, he kicked 5 in one match, I think, against Port Adelaide, but he can do some damage, can't he?
Certainly knows how to push forward, played numerous games where he's kicked multiple goals.
So they got that goal that they needed, the Dockers. So here's this centre that Lee's been talking about, these clearances. Sandilands first hands, where's it going to go? Johnson, Mundy's been busy. Round the corner, Pearce, Polo, Ibbotson, good take, poor handball. Broughton free kick, no, he went down, but I thought Montagna might have been in his back. Sandilands, well done, McAvoy, Malera, really well done, Malera, switches it out wide to Hayes, Lenny loads it up. Well, he doesn't do this. Well, I was getting excited. I mean, Lenny doesn't kick those long ones too often. He's actually kicked 5 behinds this year and not a goal. I hate saying anything like that about Lenny.
Well, there's a great article that Nick Del Santo wrote about Lenny Hayes during the week about everyone loves Lenny from a spectator point of view, but also internally at the club.
It's a bit like Richo, isn't he?
He's absolutely.
Play on! I'd love to be like that.
It's a bit better looking than me, Lenny.
Duffield to himself. You've got to remember, kick it to yourself in that situation when the umpire calls play on. You can't afford to panic. It's inside the centre square, spills wide of the congestion. Down goes Jones. Trying to dig it out of there was Hill. Fisher stood up in a tackle. Blake did well. Gilbert feeds it back. Opportunity for Goddard. Runs down towards right half forward. Long kick. Kaczynski trying to work to the front. Outmanoeuvred by Johnson. So man-to-man, Johnson's done very well in a couple of duels with Kaczynski. This ball bounces to Pavlich. Pavlich comes up towards the wing. Crowley's got open space ahead. Takes the mark. Can't afford to go short. Kicks it over the leading main. Letting it bounce and run on is Anthony. First back, though, is Newms. Newms gives a hand pass or Newnes rather, gave a hand pass across towards a teammate there in Simpkin. He's over the footy. Mundy takes it across the line.
Just this point of the game, the high balls into the forward line, it's the defensive team that are in control of those high ones.
So match been played mainly in St Kilda's end.
Holding Ballantyne, free kick. Ballantyne, straight to him. Right out there, Nate. Clear out, guys.
Heard from Danny Sexton, don't give him free kicks. Already won.
And don't talk to him.
Move it on.
Make that he's not there. Well, they're going to love this, the Saints, because he's kicked us straight into Armitage.
See whether they give him a bit of lip.
Thanks, David.
You've got to identify players that actually react badly to being spoken to, and just maybe Ballantyne likes that kind of sort of thing from opponents, so leave him alone, don't talk to him.
Hayes sort of throws it out. Mzungu took a couple of the tacklers on.
Well, boys, that last stop, he got another one, but no one spoke to him after he kicked into the man of the mark, so they were disciplined to what Sexton wanted then.
So here is Ballantyne. Now he keeps it low to the full forward line. Not a great kick, but a big miss by Fisher. Blake, Newnes can't get it away. Anthony had the chance with Fife pulling out. High ball. Broughton can't get a run. Well done, Goddard.
Free kick.
Just held his ground, Goddard.
I thought he was going to play the block then, because he looked like he was blocking the Fremantle player from going for the ball, but got the free kick for being held.
Entertaining start to this game. Goddard takes off out of the back pocket, drives it very high, just short of the wing and close to the boundary. McFarlane got hands to it, couldn't complete the mark, and from those hands it rolls across the boundary line.
So Blues, then they play. We've got that match next Friday night in your hometown.
The forward scouts having a look at Freo. After the throw-in, we'll get a ball up.
I think Brett Ratton's got a pretty big week at home too, Dennis. I think there's a little one due.
Still at the footy, just doing his job. Sandilands knocks it down. McAvoy smothered off the boot. Broughton did well. Ibbotson towards half forward. On the lead, Anthony. Couldn't hang on. Newnes gave it back. Fisher. And now Geary. Well, Scotty Waters has put him down deep in defence, and he's looking terrific at the moment as Fisher goes close to the boundary line. Montagna will get a free.
So, Lee.
Didn't get the ball, got the arms.
Early look, is it a bit like dancing with your sister? Do you feel like Ross Lyon coaching against Ross Lyon, or very different?
A little bit, but both sides are getting players aggressively back in defence to help their actual defenders. That's why scoring's difficult.
So McFarlane, Duffield just has to retreat, comes out wide. It's a good kick, and Hill really should have taken the mark. Jones cobbles him and forces the turnover. Dal Santo's hands were beautiful. Montagna licks his lips and goes to the chipper, and Revolt marks it. Stephen Hill had to do better.
It was all to do with the rebound. If Hill marks the footy on the way out, Fremantle end up in their forward line, but when that turnover happened, then the Fremantle defence was lost, and Rewald was able to jump at the footy.
Got to say there, Bruce didn't hold his head up, ducked the head, dropped the mark.
He knew the tagger was there probably. Yep. He sort of knows that Jones' pressure is going to be there. That's what he has to work through to make the most of his talents.
He's 5-5 this year from set shots. Make that 6-5, and the captain kicks them away. Well, just that turnover, very costly. Montagna swept on it from Dal Santa. And Revolt, lovely mark. So a good kick for Nick. Those important shots for him early, aren't they? Get his confidence up. It's been going well this year. So the Saints, a little bit of breathing room. It's 21-12.
Well, we've seen this a million times over the years. A contested mark to Nick Riewoldt. That's the difference in the game at the moment. 5 marks inside 50, the Saints, 0, the Dockers. Nick Dal Santo had a part in that goal. He set it up on the wing. His tagger, Crowley, was on the bench and he was furious. He couldn't get on.
Pavlich did well. Sandilands back to Pavlich. Pavlich trying to widen things a little, create a little space. Eventually, Ibbotson has it, feeds it forward. Now with the run, it's Barlow. Inside the forward 50, well worked. That was tight in there, and the Dockers with quality players handling the football, you've got to say, able to work it around, eventually create their space. That's the one that really set it up to Crowley.
Well, you got the sense, Dennis, that Ross Lyon really needed a centre clearance. Threw his skipper in there. He did the work. And Main there taking the mark shows the advantage of just playing in front.
So Main directly in front. Stephen Hill, I'm sure, will be reminded by the coach about that marking attempt. Hope his brother wasn't watching, his younger brother. He'll make his debut from Fremantle. Put that behind them, and Main kicks a goal.
Well, Main also, early stages this year, hasn't missed a shot, a set shot, or any shot at goal this year. He's an interesting player, Main. Now, might be a free kick here.
Thanks, mate.
Hold the footy, Jacob.
Take
Go through.
He's slowing him down to the ground with the hand around his neck. Mark's here, right? $10, that's the line.
Elliot, why did he come at me?
Hey, that's all right. After you knocked Stephen. No, he didn't go the height.
So there's a free kick here. The ball hasn't gone back to the centre. It's against Polo. Look at the far left corner. So here we go.
Nick, walking out.
So,
thank you, mate.
Matty.
Right to the footy, fellas.
So the goal to Main, 3-point game. Mzungu gets a shot at goal from, I guess, about 50 metres. Against Polo, just outside 50. I don't think he's got the distance or the accuracy. Main got up high, and it's a behind.
Well, you could have put your glasses down when you've seen there's a free kick turned around after a goal has been scored and see that Hayden Ballantyne would have been on the end of it. But it was Polo who infringed against Mzungu, wrapped him around the neck, took him down.
So Johnson couldn't quite, and then a boundary throw in.
They've cleaned up the clearances all of a sudden. There's now 8 in Fremantle's favour to St Kilda 7. Remember, St Kilda got the first 6, so they're actually doing much better at extricating the ball. Not necessarily breaking away into space with it, but eventually at least getting it forward off these stoppages.
Watch what happens here then. Sandilands directs it down. Missed by Jones. Swooping on the loose ball is Stephen. Slips it back, Armitage. Stephen in trouble. Well done, Ballantyne. Arrived quickly. Stifled the hand pass and it ricocheted out of bounds.
I must say, when I look at this ground level, I don't think it's Sandlands in the ruck. I think the ground level players for Fremantle just don't get on the move sufficiently to give him a moving target off his hand.
That was line ball. Armitage kicks it straight up in the air. Pierce the leaper. Ran kindly for Goddard. Looks across the ground. Now this will set the youngster coming off half-back. Newens in motion will sort off. Had a bit of a fumble. In fact, he fumbled twice. The second one helped him. Runs away from Anthony and then proceeds to blast it out of bounds on the fall. Well, doubt he'll want to see that back.
So disappointing result. So Dawson out. Could be on here, the Dockers. Crowley looks up. Waits the kick, asks a lot of Clark. Geary commits very well and keeps his feet. That's a big play. Well done. Took off, rode the bump and got it to Simpkin and then to Dempster. Barlow can't get a run at it. Polo held his ground and then Fisher over the top. Montagna busy. High ball down the line. And that's McAvoy holding on to Duffield. Duffield's toe poke was clever. Dawson runs out. Is it out of play? It is boundary throwing.
I don't know whether it's Ross Lyon like in terms of style, but Fremantle is certainly prepared to attack from outside into the centre square to straighten up before they go forward. So they're having a go in there.
Sandilands decisively. Wonderful takeaway that time. Barlow got it from De Boer. Kicks it down towards half forward. Main. Mzungu. It's one out. Well, somehow the position's reversed. Anthony was behind where the football went. Fisher, who was in front, got behind and led the race back across the goal line. Well played by the St Kilda veteran.
Did a good job. Geary's had a great opening term. Gets it wide to Blake. He was always a favourite of Ross Blake. He played him for a long stretch because he's got that unenviable record, Blake, hasn't he, of so many games and not a you-know-what. Here's Stephen at half-back. Kicks to Cozzy. Oh, almost. And then Stevie on the run. Well, it's out of play.
Been a good week for the Blakes, though, Bruce. Maybe he got his inspiration last Sunday night.
It's a long way up when you're jumping on that. Sandler's back.
That is a great leap. Outstanding. You might be right, Dan. That's an editorial comment late in the first quarter.
Oh, well.
And it was that last little bit of movement by Milne. So right in front of Dennis is as Hayes kicks forward.
I should be able to spot it then as Hayes kicks inside the forward 50. McFarlane goes back. Dawson, who was hurt, got up, gets down again. He's hurt again. Meantime, it comes across to Duffield. Duffield up towards the wing. Oh, terrific. Well, almost McAvoy. Almost plucked it over the top there. Taken by Simpkin. Touched off the boot. Rebolt got the call late because he tried to mark it. Barlow slips a hand pass away to Dawson. Dawson shows too much of it to Gilbert.
I suspect one in the solar plexus there.
There's a bit of it going around.
Thanks.
Dawson, now Barlow.
See the downside of actually going from outside in. If you miss your target and the opposition interceptor in trouble.
Gilbert, clock running down. That's a good effort. So the defender slots a goal.
Do you remember when we all thought Gilbert might play as a forward after the 2010 final series? There was a real chance. So, gee, you think of the Dockers in this opening term.
He was taking all right. Just letting you know. It goes both ways. Stevie, just in that scenario, you can only give it away. Yeah. All right, so don't reverse it around.
Think of the goals. Barlow's poor kick.
Well. Any continuous
from Dawson.
You've been going at it, we can pay a free kick. If it's
Really good turnovers.
All right, so we're just letting you know. If we see it, we'll pay it.
So there's the little hit on Dawson. There's a poor kick from Dawson. He had a man wide where he should have gone there. Stevie just pulls himself up. So, gee, they've gifted 3 goals here, particularly to the Dockers. Saints go forward. Kazitsky handball straight to Pearce, to Broughton, and then Broughton off a step. McAvoy's had a terrific opening term and takes the mark. Deep in this first quarter, Saints lead by 7.
They'll be prepared to milk the clock here.
Well, they've got one last crack, maybe, Tom, at a forward thrust, but that ball wide and out.
The Fremantle defenders seemingly sort of going to ground a little bit regularly. There's a lot of blocking going on in St.Kilda forward, I reckon. There's a lot of pinball going on where bodies are bouncing off bodies a little when the ball's down the other end of the field.
Just saw Scotty Waters down. I reckon he must have had one of those weeks.
that line, Luke.
What about me? You know?
That's it. Back a metre, please.
Anonymity wouldn't have been a bad thing this week, I don't think, Bruce.
Yeah, I guess there's been a few headlines.
He's one of those guys who can stay under the radar.
And a metre, that's it.
It's about 3 inches taller than I am. He's
Sorry,
Monday
Bruce.
in the half-back flank. I've enjoyed this opening term.
Move it on, play on.
Long kick down the line. So a good quarter footy. Coming in tonight, you felt it was an intriguing match, and the first quarter has lived up to all of that. Lots of plots, subplots. St Kilda, as I said, gifted by a couple of goals by the Dockers, and they've got their nose in front of quarter time. Friday night footy, good crowd under the roof at Etihad. It's the Saints leading against their old coach by 7 points.
Quarter time, and it's 7 points the margin the Saints' way on Friday night football. Let's go down to Matthew Richardson. Access all areas. We're inside the Saints' defensive unit.
Well, Danny, you talked about Hayden Ballantyne and free kicks before the game. He got 2. How did you assess those?
Yeah, well, he might have got a couple of lucky ones, but we need to really keep our discipline with the free kicks. The Polo one was disappointing. You know, we didn't need to give that, so we've just got to, all across the board, we've got to maintain our disciplines.
You'll be happy with your efforts across the board, as you just said. Only 1 mark inside 50. That's a good result in a quarter of footy.
Yeah, defensively it's been okay, but, you know, early in that quarter they had too many uncontested marks. Our big, tall forwards need to bring the ball to ground so we can keep it in with some forward 50 pressure.
A good contest is Pavlik and Dempster. Some people might have thought that was a prize. How do you like that matchup?
It's going okay. Pavlich got a couple when he went into the midfield, but Sean's, you know, he's a real handful. He's a really honest competitor, and we'll back him in. He gets the job done a lot of times.
Good luck.
All right, thanks, mate.
I would imagine that Fremantle are reasonably happy. We were talking with Lee before the game about the value of Sandilands. Well, they certainly evened that up, didn't they, Lee?
Well, they did. I mean, the clearances are about equal, but Sandlands is the one who's getting his hand to the ball the majority of the time. And McAvoy has got a couple, but certainly they don't turn the hit-outs into clearances very well.
I reckon they're lacking some real oomph, and you mentioned on the move around the stoppages.
Yeah.
Fife is the one who's come out who typically provides that, replaced by John McCarthy, and probably not doing John Anthony, not doing the role for them up forward. And the one time they did look dynamic in the middle was when Pav was in there for one, so perhaps they might look at putting Pav through the midfield.
Benny Hayes, it seems all the way back now, in terrific form last week. And he started speedily again tonight with 7 possessions. There's Pavlich. A storied career.
90 minutes of free kick. 90 minutes of free.
Start the second term. Saints by 7. Hooked down by McAvoy. Taken by Crowley. He's immediately gang tackled. And the ball held to him. The subs, Neil from Glenelg. Youngster who's very quick. Get the feeling he could play a major part in this game if in fact it's close late. There's Hayes playing a major part right now. He sends it inside the forward 50, tracking it towards the boundary as Duffield. Good balance by Duffield. No, took it across the line. So a boundary throw-in.
Good luck, Rowe. Ross. Rowe, I can't believe I said that.
And the two S's were dollar signs, of course.
I'd like Tom to miss that.
But Tom, you've got such a lovely sunny outlook on life. You're not as cynical as Dennis, all right?
A lot of S's in Swiss too, Tom.
Geary's kick out wide, Hayes, and then Stephen brought down. And then Ballantyne had the ball and then went down, and that ball between his legs, and then a boundary thrown. Are you okay, Tom?
Yeah, I'm just a little bit appalled with my lack of intelligence there, Bruce.
No, not intelligence.
The colour was different.
Yeah, exactly right.
It wasn't the money, it was the challenge. So McAvoy to tap it down. Johnson, Dal Santo.
Just those one-on-one matchups that were put into place. Jones has done well on Hill and Crowley's done well on Dilsano at this point.
Block here, fella, give a run.
We should have Hayden Cam, shouldn't we?
We should have.
Make a fascinating little movie. And Dal Santo hooking back and out on the full. So
Brendan, hold there.
He's got a feeling he's not going to get those pushing and shoving, going to ground free kicks just at the moment. He might be half a season before he's back on neutral territory with them.
It's Duffield again, out of defence, drives it long, short of the wing though, reaching over the top Sandilands. McAvoy got it on the ground. Hill goes with the right boot, not his preferred side, as the result attested. Picked up there by Anthony, struggling to come really to terms with the tempo at the moment. Simpkin had his kick smothered over the top Pierce, and that ball is wedged in.
More stop-start this quarter. We saw a bit of uncontested free-flowing as both sides try to circumvent the loose man behind the play, but repeat stoppage is the order for this quarter.
Tell you what was good there. Hill ran across the ball, blocked it. It was a terrific smother by him. That will please Ross Lyon. After maybe the mistake in the opening turn, Stephen tucked the ball under his arm. It's a lovely kick out wide. Main made it hard for Fisher, but Fisher stood up. A couple of best and fairest to his names at the Saints. Geary. So Geary kicks to half forward and just drifting in Stanley. Milne was on the lead and pulled up Milne to allow Reece Stanley to take the mark.
Yeah, Zach Clark lost him. He was watching the ball and didn't really watch, so he was watching his opponent, not watching the ball, so therefore McAvoy could, Stanley could drift off him and pretty much jump third up.
She's a good size, isn't he? Look at him here. He's been a slow developer. I mean, when his first couple of games, you thought, wow, the next revolt. And not quite, but certainly to help Nick. But he's just taken a couple of seasons. This is really the first time he's been a regular early in a season.
Yeah, I must say, looks more like a ruckman who can fill in the forward line. I reckon when he develops, rather than the real running athlete like Rewald is, he's very tall.
Oh, danger again. They've done it again here. Revolt back to Montagna. Not a good handball. Ballantyne and brought down by Goddard.
McAvoy to Blake. High up and under. In best position, Stanley. Oh, doing very well. Coming back with Zungu, got a fist on it. And needed to.
Do you reckon Fremantle might be sending the message out? Those short kicks from fullback on that 45 into the centre corridor. Maybe just leave them out. Leave them out for a little while.
You're looking at the kick in now. There's no one really on the 50, a long target to go to at the moment. So seeing where they can actually go.
I hate to tell stories, but watching the replay, I think Goddard spoke to Ballantyne. Ball comes outside the 50. Here's a chance for Mazungu. Hard against the line and kicks it too wide. Well, Pavlich,
he's on too.
He would have seen an uncontested possession coming up there, but the ball pitched a couple of metres outside the boundary.
Did you read his lips?
Yeah,
Goddard?
wasn't encouraging for Ballantyne.
He might have said,
"Whoa!"
He's gone the other way.
It's 15 all.
He might have said, "I'd like to talk to you, but I'm not allowed to."
That's really getting inside his head. That's reverse psychology. Putting the annoy in paranoia. Kick goes across the ground from Barlow. That's beautiful. Sandilands, Pierce, beautiful pass too. That was nice all round. Pavlich comes to the footy and takes the mark full-chested.
It's virtually the only time they've actually gone outside into the centre corridor, straightened up their attack and actually made it work. They've had a few 50-50s that they didn't make work, but this one is a good shot. Pavlich, a good long kick, so the 50-metre line's no problem for him.
Let's see if he can be accurate here. You see, he has lost that weight that Tom talked about before the match. What, 3 kilos this year? So coming back, but he always hung it out. So,
Lee, do you think Ross Lyon would have reinforced the message to bring the ball back in the corridor after missing a few in the first quarter?
Oh no, I think so. I think that's the way they play. I think they're saying, well, the attacking around the boundary that was in vogue is a bit been outdated, and they're prepared to come out the middle. You might make an odd mistake, but it's given them a chance.
Montagna kicked it to himself, booted it to half back. Polo kicks it directly to Johnson. He's had a pretty good night so far, albeit they've got the numbers back there. McFarlane, who's had some wonderful games against the Saints. That wasn't one of his best runs, although he kept his head, finds McPhee on the outer side. Now storming up the ground is Pavlich over his head. It runs free behind. Getting back is Blake. And Blake sends a high ball to half forward for the Saints. Gorton, that was a good mark. Gorton whips a hand pass away, taken by McFarlane. They'll build from the back again. Johnson's got it. In the true centre-half back position.
You look at it like this when both players seem to be getting extra play back. Which side's going to be advantaged? But I would think it'd be St Kilda. But just at the moment, Fremantle are going okay with it.
Gee, Johnson's kick was dangerous, but it's got to Barlow. And then Barlow to Sandilands, as Tom said, he's all on his own for the moment. And as big as Blake is, he's a midget alongside I was going to say the purple giant, but he's not in purple tonight.
Well, I'm sort of trying to think where the best avenue for goal for Fremantle is when they bring the ball in long. And they're not getting anything from Anthony. No. And I was just watching Sandilands on that occasion, just lurking around and not pushing up. So he's been given some instructions to stay at home when he's playing forward.
He's 189, Blake, 6'3", but that's nowhere near Sandilands. He's only had the one shot this year, and he kicked it, and that's a beautiful kick. So the Dockers close the margin here. Gee, Dennis, it's just such a great tactic when he can get forward, isn't it? They can get the ball quickly to him.
Yep. Although now he's come up on the ball, which is a little bit strange, although he goes off for very short breaks. And Clark is an adequate backup as well. He's very agile and a bit of a contrast to Sandilands, so it's a nice mix to have.
You see him just pushing in into the forward 50. He's the on-ball ruckman, but he's decided Fremantle had the ball. Push forward and see if McAvoy can find me and chase me.
Sandilands has to wait as this ball drifts over his head. Still wins it down. Stolen though by Hayes. Goddard comes away. It was smothered off the boot. Comes at a strange angle across the 50. Kazitsky comes up to meet it. Slips a hand pass to Nunes. He goes back now. Finds Fisher. Fisher, slick hands. Hayes. Sweeping hand pass. Asking a bit of Polo. Well trapped there by Mundy. But the kick's not good from Hill. He's not having a good night at the moment. More time than he thought there.
Let's look at the hit-outs. 19-9 to Fremantle, but of course the clearances are 14-9 to St Kilda, so certainly it's not working there.
So Hayes sets it up. Hill did well that time. McPhee on his wrong side. He doesn't get it far enough out. Jones, not the longest kick, but he may... Well, he's got Montagna just outside him. Kicked a couple of goals this year, none from set shots.
Well, there's a kick inside by Tuvey last week. Remember when we said that's not their game plan? That was just a player error, and so was this one.
Well, Goddard, a bit squeezed up, couldn't quite get the angle. So actually, Freo did well there, I reckon. They had two blokes converging and enough pressure on Goddard to miss. Now, this kick-in's going to be interesting. Actually, historically this year, both the Saints and Freo have had trouble with the kick-ins. Their transitions have both been disappointing. The amount of times they've got it into their forward 50 from kick-ins is very, very low. And we've seen tonight that the Dockers have actually put themselves in a perilous state a couple of times from short kick-ins. Not this occasion.
So Pearce hard against the boundary line. Sends it very close to the boundary, about 50 metres further afield, where it bounces out.
Well, on the kick-in, St Kilda are playing basically a man-on-man, so that does put a lot of pressure on the Fremantle player kicking in. So on that occasion, you're best to go for a long bail-out option, but they need the representation from a Sandy Lands or a Clark to give them an option.
Really, to run the ball through the middle, they want to get the ball to Hill, but at the moment, he really just can't find any space against Jones.
Sandilands did well Monday, trying to flick it across towards Duffield. Hayes falling to the ground, so too Gilbert. Both of them succeeded, though. Malera, Milne snaps. Misses, but I think it's going to be a free kick coming back to Milne. Pushed in the back as he kicked.
It was late and high. Yeah, real free kick.
We'll see what happens here just as well, because Stanley was in the goal square by himself. Completely missed him.
Well, not exactly a push in the back as it turned out.
Stevie, that's the line. Mark's in.
There's no malice in that by Zach Dawson, but that's just clumsy. That's just a lazy forearm to the throat.
Loves that situation, does Milne, but not this time as far as the kick was concerned. Tugged it too early. Through it goes for a minor score. This was good. It was footy right on the brink leading up to that.
I'd be really disappointed if I was a teammate with that.
Here's Ibbotson to midfield. Real opportunity now for the Dockers. Clark gets it off to Mundy. The back lead comes from Anthony. Needs a lift. Drops the mark. Opportunity for Revolt to Blake. Revolt deep in his own defence. Don't often see that. Comes out wide. Hits Gilbert on the chest. Gilbert takes on the man on the mark. Stumbling was Ballantyne. Gilbert had the ball touched off the boot. Taken there by Armitage. Did well.
It did, Dennis. Weaved and found some space in the end. McFarlane and also Stanley. Now we know how quick he is. Well done by Dawson that time. Kosicki and McFarlane. Barlow. McPhee. Good kick to Broughton. Reckon the Dockers look more dangerous just at the minute. Kick to centre wing. Blake wants the bounce. Revolt, who's gone into the back half. Milne back there with him. Main and Milne. M&M, and then Milne out wide. Well played to Armitage. So a terrific contest. Not high scoring, but a real battle here. Both teams asking a lot of one another. That's a lovely kick. And then Stephen now in the centre square, taking them on.
Beat Mazunga goes very short. Opportunity for Broughton. Broughton applies a tackle, having spilt the mark, and the ball is wedged in there, and we'll have a ball up about 55 metres out.
They just look more dangerous going forward, St Kilda. Unfortunately, it's just not working for Anthony tonight. Ballantyne's getting well upfield, so's Main. Whenever they approach their forward 50, they just don't look like they've got a really good target.
There's the bounce. Over the top, McAvoy looking for Hayes. It missed him. Broughton missed the football virtually. Sliding in was Montagna. On his knees, Fisher. Stanley does well. Dragged down by Subin. Look at the big guy get down. Well done by Sandilands to Crowley. Squeezes a kick towards half forward. Outnumbered was Pavlich. Ball ricocheted off his shin. Trying to soccer it forward was Blake. Opportunity for Mundy. Put down. Backing him up. Doing nicely was Broughton to Ibbotson. Goes wide. Now Clark has it. Ballantyne's on the move. Creates some early pace. Gets to the footy first. He's got the separation, but he can't keep it in. He was quick off the mark there, Ballantyne, and got that separation, but the kick really did him no favours.
Geary left Geary in his wake, didn't he? I almost feel like he's playing against the crowd as well tonight, Ballantyne. I mean, that's not the first time he's done that, I know, but they are on to him, Stephen. And Kosicki takes the mark.
Play on.
On in a hurry. Long bomb. Dawson, Nilly against McAvoy. They would have done that a few times, you reckon, in training together. McPhee. to McFarlane. McFarlane the switch. Now Hill's quick. He's got Pearce. Now Goddard's just come off the interchange behind Pearce. Pearce looks up. They've just held it up a bit here. Goes inboard to Johnson. Saints to try and get some numbers back. Pavlich on the burst. It's not a great kick, but it gets inside 50. Pavlich down low. Well done, Mzungu. Not a great handball. Hayes picks it off. Gets it to Goddard. Goddard to Polo. Back to Goddard. Now Revolt short. He handballs to Montagna. Montagna waiting. Goes back. Hayes. Still with Lenny. Poor handball. Well done, Mzungu. Boundary throw in. Richo.
Oh, it's a tough game down here. The Saints are smashing them in contested possession and clearances, but both teams going forward, it's near on impossible to take a mark. Both teams with numbers back. It's going to be tough work scoring here tonight.
Here's Stephen over the football. Pushed off it by Hill. Picked up by Jones. Back to Fisher. Fisher forward of right half back. Sends a high one down towards half forward. McFarlane goes back. Was pushed in the back. No free kick. That was pretty clumsy by Broughton. It'll go against him. But McFarlane was a bit stiff there. Malera gets the free.
Lower harder, well played.
So Malera. Down towards right half forward, just setting it up. Delicate kick almost. In front down there, Stanley. Lurking behind was Hill. Sandilands at very close quarters to Crowley. Comes back to Hill. Left it for Pearce. Sandilands eventually. High ball towards the wing. Pavlich, wonderful. Oh, did the hard work, spilt the mark. Good stuff by Dempster to get back. Met solidly. He stays down a while. As a result, the Dockers have got a spare man. Pavlich, vacant goal square. Oh, that's a clever kick. A long kick to the square wouldn't have done very much because the Saints had a man deep. He split the difference, did Pavlich, with an ungainly but wonderful kick and a goal to Mzungu.
Great call, Dennis. He was working overtime, that brain of Pavlich there. He realised that the long ball in would have been cut off. Mzungu running hard and he set it up for him. It was a great passage of play. I mean, such a contested 5 minutes of football. One team had to get the break. And right now, Fremantle have so much in this game, I feel. They're playing every bit as good as St Kilda and they've got their nose in front.
Just forced the ball away from goal, didn't they? But that's the good thing what a good player does, makes good decisions.
No doubt, a lesser player would have bombed away and either kicked directly to St Kilda or kicked the long point. But that's why he's one of the absolute best.
Gee, that was a great tap by Sandilands. So 2-1 to 4 behinds in this quarter. The Dockers, Mzungu just kicked the goal. Quickly to full forward. Ballantyne over the top. Simpkin. Jones off a step. Wobbles it to Fisher. To Goddard. Back he goes. Nunes kicks the ball down the line. Revolt did well there. He had a couple. McFarlane, they just messed it up with Everton. Revolt's wobbly old kick forward. Barlow getting back. What an industrious player Barlow is. Slow handball. Broughton's got to go, and he does. Stephen couldn't bring him down, and now Hill takes off. Did it very well to Pearce. Ballantyne short. So the Dockers have done a really good job in this quarter. Saints have had it in their forward 50 a lot. Pearce off a step. Mzungu, he asks a lot of him. At the back, well done Dempster. To Blake. And then Blake, it was a bit of a shank, but he had McAvoy wide, and then Hayes. Not a great kick by Hayes. And gee, Pearce was strong, wasn't he?
Chalk and cheese to the effort by Stephen Hill in the first quarter.
Never looked like spoiling it.
That was a gutsy mark, wasn't it?
Sure was. Do you know how we said in the first quarter that... Let's have a look. Yeah. The first quarter, Dockers need the next goal. Almost feel like right now the Saints need the next goal.
The Dockers are having a good patch now. They've actually just getting a little bit of penetration through their forward line, getting a bit of speed through the midfield.
Mundy after the 50 takes the hand pass. Sandilands is deep. Ball goes in that direction. Lurking behind Pavlich. Double trouble. Pavlich plays on. A little centering kick. Doesn't find a target. Broughton Mzungu. Smothered off the boot. Ricochets back towards Nunes. Nunes drops it on the boot. Tracking it towards the boundary line is Duffield, and the danger is past.
Sean Dempster's done a great job on Matthew Pavlich, but we just say on this occasion here, Blake had to be the player to influence the contest there.
Mzungu was on inside, but he just couldn't quite get the ball to him, but they've just messed up 2 or 3 pretty much golden opportunities, Fremantle.
You would have just about backed Pat from there, wouldn't you, to have thought his way through that for a goal?
Now, you're always going to pop it back to a teammate pretty much on his own, 30 metres out in front, but didn't quite get there.
So it's Clark and McAvoy. So where's Sandilands? He's in the goal square. So a quick ball in will be dangerous. Armitage got down low. Malera, that was good effort by Malera. And now Milne brought down in the tackle and a boundary throw in. So Sandilands and Pavlich, the 2 keys forward at the moment for the Dockers. So the Saints will try and get a third man back. There's Sandilands.
And Simpkin.
So that's a great situation for the Dockers. A quick ball in. Clark, Barlow, Mundy to about 50, Main outnumbered. Now this is an important ball. Mzungu went hard at the man. Barlow's hands were good. De Boer swept it a bit too wide for Ballantyne. McFarlane, handball inboard. Main in close quarters. Barlow, they just overplayed it a bit here. Broughton was good. He went through very hard. Saints just hanging on. Milne in the back half again. Squeezes it out wide. And well done, McAvoy, like a rover. Gets the ball forward. Duffield and Stanley. This is a worry. They won't get him, you know. He runs hard. Well played, Stanley.
To Gilbert. Terrific lead by Gilbert. Knew exactly what he was doing all the time. As he was actually running towards goal, he's got, I think it was his left hand, just saying, just drop it back in front. I'll come back towards it. We might get a good look at it here.
Made that comment before. He sort of looks like ruckman size. He certainly runs a bit quicker than the average ruckman, that's for sure. But I think it's more like he's got a burst like Usain Bolt has. He's ruckman size. But I don't think he's got the agility really necessarily to be a really good key position player. But certainly got the speed.
Well, we talked about Gilbert at the end of the 2010 season, maybe going forward regularly. He's kicked 1 tonight. He's kicked 2 tonight. Saints needed it. They're back in front.
Third time in his career he's kicked 2 goals, Gilbert. Smart player. And hard to match up on. Can take a mark. He's quick on his feet, but it was with Stanley who turned a losing situation into a winning one on the outer side. It was real good stuff.
Well, this was fantastic play by Gilbert. He was leading back towards goal. And in modern footy so much now, when they lead back and they don't hit up with the ball carrier, but Gilbert did it beautifully, as Tom pointed out, and hit back at the ball carrier for an easy mark.
Out of the middle, Sandilands having an influence now, working his way right on top. Here's Ballantyne, run down immediately in the silence. Opportunity across half back for Jones, gave it to Simpkin, kicks it out wide. Johnson. So Scotty Waters throwing a curve ball to Ross Lyon, not 15 metres. Mundy kicks inside the forward 50. Fisher goes back and takes the mark. Interesting, after he kicked that goal, Gilbert, he headed back for defence, and Revolt, who'd be playing a stint in defence, went on the forward line. So a bit to think about there, and obviously I think geared up for the opposing coach as much as anything else. Nunes just outside the defensive 50, pops it back in. And Goddard's got it. So 4 points the margin. And a real tug of war. Well, misjudging it completely there was Hill. The mark is taken by Gilbert, who for a moment must have thought as the purple and white blur went past that he was going to be outmarked. Didn't happen. McPhee across half back. Short to Sandilands again. The mantra of the Saints pre-season was draw a line in the sand. Well, right now they need to put a line through Sandilands, I think. He's getting the ball around the ground, and when the game splits open, they're looking better, but the Saints with a goal chance here. This kick is offline. Hit the post from Stephen, deserved a better fate. Caught them on the rebound. The hand pass came across from Polo.
It's good chase down on Mzungu there, wasn't it, to put the pressure on the kick. Oh, there's it.
Let's go. Late. Took a mark, and then he bumped it.
So that dangerous kick lead, they get an advantage.
They are persevering with their centre corridor attack. I'm not sure about the centre corridor kick out of full back, but certainly I think they've got to persevere and bring it back into the centre square, because when they do that, they look the most dangerous going forward.
So Dawson was the recipient. That doesn't please the Saints fans, of course. Ross taking him with him over to Fremantle. Do you think at times, Lee, under pressure, just stick Sandilands in the centre square and kick the ball as long as you can from the kicker?
Well, I mean, he's actually not a bad... If you're going to go into the centre square, if you've got a 200-centimetre bloke on the end of it, he's not going to get outreached, and he's actually been a good link, change of direction player, Sandilands.
Wins this tap. Ballantyne couldn't quite. Blake held up. Fisher. Goddard industrious again tonight. He's having a terrific season. That almost a good mark. Is it paid? It is. Cossie has got a bit of a spring in his step, has he? Played really well against the Dockers late last year in this match on a Friday night.
Really committed at that football. Told to play on. Takes just a couple of steps and sends a high one up towards the wing. Duffield with the judgment, drops back, claims it. Across the ground to Ibbotson. Inside the centre square. McPhee peels off. Clark is running hard. He'll get it now. Clark's on the wing. Quite a few Saints are back though. Needs the long ball down the middle instead. Kicked it straight to Malera. Clark battles on. They're outnumbered 3-on-2 here. Well done by McAvoy to Gilbert. Real chance for the Saints now. It comes to Jones. Jones inside the centre square. Finds Revolt.
It was a pinpoint kick that it did take the ball out of the centre corridor, but really Rewald knew where the pressure was. This is the turnover. Clark came inside, kicked to the man. See how Rewald was able just to find the only space really that he could go to. Makes it a reasonably acute angle.
Malera terrific there, not giving up on the play. Rewald misses narrowly. Always on the near side. Malera showed a wonderful vertical leap there as well. He was prepared to work. It wasn't a mark as such because Clark was on his way, but even so, as an obstacle, he did very well. Here's Dempster, who came from Sydney to the Saints with Ross Lyon. Scrambles after it. Again, Sandilands. Almost tackled before he had the football. Pavlich. Ballantyne. Almost run down from behind. Measures the kick to Clark. Clark keen to make amends. Goes to Anthony. Anthony to Main. Runs into an open goal and gets it. They bounce back. Missed opportunity at the other end. Main gets the goal.
So Main gets his second. How good was Pavlich there in the centre? Oh, his ability there to win a hard ball and then create. Ballantyne getting involved as well. So Main's kicked a couple, but Pavlich's effort in the centre there was just fantastic. I mean, in heavy traffic, he was able to get the ball moving forward, and Main on the end of all of that. So Dockers back in front.
It was interesting here. The tackle was laid. It's just a whole lot of players around the footy, but Pavlich was good enough, flattened his back, laid the handball off, and then the goal was set up from there.
So 3-1 to 1-6 in this quarter. Saints have had the shots, but they haven't been able to convert. It's been a seesawing opening half, about as good as you could have hoped for coming here tonight. So all square. Saints out of the centre. Revolt front spot. Duffield free kick. Revolt.
Thanks, Luke. Up over the shoulder.
Dick can't go all the way here, you wouldn't think. Not with that Dicky knee these days. What will he do? Will he set it up to the goals? Cossie's been catching them pretty well tonight. We know McAvoy, Gilbert's coming forward.
Got Sandler's back on the goal line, so any high ball should be easy to force through.
Let's have a look. He struck it okay. Won't get all the way, though. And there you go, Lee. Like any good ruckman.
Come back here, mate. Just give him some room.
How valuable is he, Lee? I mean, he's...
Yeah, really good player. As I said all night, I've just been trying to monitor his hit-outs compared to... I know it's like a broken record, but he just gets his hand to the ball all the time, and a good play around the field.
Fisher's got the football to Stephen. No game this season so far has been level at half-time. And this one might not be either. Kozitzki takes the mark directly in front. After virtually an hour, what we've got is Lyon ball. It's been about Ross Lyon tonight. Scores a level, but this can break the deadlock.
Thanks.
Justin Kozitzki against his old coach.
Thanks, guys.
should score something. 39 apiece. Kazetsky's kick is beautiful. Straight through the middle. So the margin is 6 points after Kazetsky gets his first goal. Really good first half. Eddie Hayes leads all comers with 16. Barlow has got 16 as well for Freo. So that pair lead all comers. Let's go down to Richo.
Well, Joey, always good to finish a quarter off with a goal. You had the ball in your forward half most of the quarter, but just couldn't quite finish them off.
Yeah, look, we seem to have a fair bit of footy, but Freo got some numbers behind the ball. We've got to be smarter with our use. We can't just bomb into them.
Can you change anything up to get around those numbers back?
Oh, certainly. Look, I'm sure Scott and the boys will come up with something for us in the second half to try and get a bit more score on the board.
Thanks.
Thanks, mate.
Nice work, Richo. Montagna has had how many possessions to half-time? He's had 9. Not a stellar performances yet, but this game likely to break open. Half-time on Friday Night Football, and it's the Saints by 6 points. Next on the Halftime Show, the man of the hour, Ross Lyon on Life, St Kilda and his new look Dockers.
I'm really driven to write a story with the Fremantle Football Club. I've got a strong resolve to try and make...
Where is it? It's been a good game. Saints got their goal after the siren. Gilbert's been interesting, gone forward with a couple major ball winners, no surprise, Lee, with Hayes, Goddard, and on the other side, Barlow with 16 as well. So a 6-point game to St Kilda, 6-9 to 6-3 as we welcome you to the halftime show with Lee Matthews. Lee, you talked a lot about Aaron Sandlands before the game, the hit-outs, the clearances. How's that unfolded in the first half?
Well, as it often has in the past, there's a great frustration for the Dockers that he gets so much hand of the footy, but the Dockers don't necessarily take it away. I think this is the one I think eventually they get it clear. But bottom line, 25 hit-outs to the Fremantle for 13 clearances, only 12 hit-outs for St Kilda for 19 clearances. So in fact, the hit-outs aren't really having the impact on the clearances that you would like to have. And unfortunately, it's just one of those situations that the Dockers have trouble to make it work.
So there's going to be a big theme of this second half, that is for sure. We're going down to ground level, Lee. We're everywhere here at Etihad tonight, and Richo's with Tom.
Thanks, Bruce. Well, during the week we caught up with Danny Sexton and the St Kilda backline, and they talked about how they thought the Freo forwards would play tonight and how it would get inside 50. Let's check that out and see what they had to say.
How do you think they might try and use the ball for an entry into their forward line? Yep, they like to switch, so you've got to press up and cover the exits. Expect the ball to be coming in long, which is what you've dealt with in the first couple of weeks. Port had 4 tools. Last week the Dogs had 3 tools. Okay, you got the job done with your bodywork and being able to help each other. Also be aware of them looking to pass the ball in. Okay, we want to defend the long ball down the line when they're exiting their defence.
Well, Richo, we heard the defensive coach Danny Sexton talk about how they thought Freo were going to bring the ball forward. I've got to say it hasn't really played out that way at the moment. Where Freo have looked dangerous is getting the ball over the top, and that's been their avenue towards goal.
Well, they got 2 of their goals out the back, Tommy, so how should the defence be setting up for that? Because they've been solid all night.
Well, to be honest, Richo, both sides have done it really well. Both sides are playing basically the same way. Sam Fisher's the man who's an absolute expert at it. He's got to make sure that he's the last, we call them anchor defenders, so he's always got to be goal sides. So the time when it was Mzungo who got over the top from a kick from Pavlich, Fisher or Blake or a player of that ilk has to be that last line of defence.
So what you're saying is it's a miserable night to be a forward. You wouldn't want to be a forward out there. It's going to be tough to score in the second half.
Good on you guys, that's for sure. Just 12 goals, Lee, in this opening half. Well, probably the biggest story in September was off the field. It was Ross Lyon leaving St Kilda to go to Fremantle. How it transpired? Well, here's Ross in his own words.
Well, I've been in 2 time-ons in front with that team in grand final day, so that's how close it was to premierships.
It's going to be a draw. It's unbelievable. But it's happened.
Think about the enormous effort. 21 points down would have been one of the greatest comebacks in the history of grand finals, and the character and belief and the never die say attitude of that play group led by Rewalt and Hayes. And when I think of Stephen Milne, I don't think of the bad bounce, I think of everything he did in my tenure there, and at the end of the day that play group helped deliver an opportunity for myself here. So yeah, there's no regrets because that group couldn't have prepared any better than they did. I sit here very comfortable with my integrity and my honour. I've exercised a clause in my contract. My negotiations were started in April. I asked for a 4-year unconditional deal. That wasn't forthcoming until Wednesday afternoon. A lot of things were written and said that were really inaccurate, particularly about time frames and negotiations, and I'm really driven to write a story of the Fremantle Football Club.
You're wasting time, move. Hit him! Don't get past. Greg, first time. Jesse, why do you have nothing to give to? Greg, that's twice, first time. Go and get a drink.
Well, I came in open-minded. I was empowered to assess and implement change. And you're coming across, you're going to get there first. Just even that, so you protect the ball, but you're getting your hip in. It's dynamic, it's challenging, and certainly we've made adjustments, and over time we're confident. You know, we want to be best practice and next practice.
You don't catch it and back off. You catch it and roll. Catch and roll. Push through and then roll. Yeah, good.
Well, I expect every year to play finals football. That's the aim, that's the business, and history tells you need to hit the top 4, hit it a couple of times, and build, and then win a flag, of which Geelong did, Collingwood did, the Saints almost did. I think Hawthorn was one of the few that went in and just grabbed it. We're committed to building the talent and building great players that will ultimately, if you do those things and you get good systems in place, will deliver what everyone's craving.
Okay, so you can't pick the ball up if you're like that. All right, so you really got to get in that position, don't you? That's why we do all the work in the gym. Is that reasonable?
You know, no one has a perfect life, and, you know, illness comes into everyone's family at some point or another, and death is a part of life, and had an experience for a long time, and then in a brief period of time, sort of, obviously 3 family members passed away through, you know, obviously motor neurone and breast cancer, and another was a road accident. So, yeah, it just sort of helps fine-tune what's really important in life, but again, the sun's going to come up. You know, you've got to get to work and you've got what you've committed to professionally, but then you've got to find time to make sure you're together and you're enjoying what's important around you.
Illuminating stuff. Does Ross Lyon have any advantage here? He knows the Saints so well for this second half.
Well, you might know the strengths and weaknesses of St Kilda, but the question is, can Fremantle, you know, minimise or exploit the weaknesses? What he needs to do is find an extra forward, because at the moment, as he knows, if St Kilda get the extra defender back, it's very hard to score against them.
Well, it's all set up for what should be a terrific second half. There's no doubt about that. Just a goal, the difference, that late goal by Kosicki being the difference here. You see the Bulls for life.com.au. So those every AFL game, the winning team sign the match ball, and if you're the highest bid at the end of the auction, you win a highly collectible match ball, and all the sales go to Prostate Cancer Foundation of Australia. Time now for 7 plays in 7 days, and then we'll be back with the second half right after this.
Watching them train?
Yep.
Think you'll ever train with the Tigers?
Yeah, that's a certainty.
Who's your favourite Tiger, Sammy?
Dustin Martin.
What's wrong with Richo?
He's so inaccurate.
When he started, he wasn't a very confident guy, but he's really learned a lot of things about footy now, and he's coming out of himself.
Now you get to present a medal at the grand final. Who are you going to be presenting to?
Dustin Martin.
Dustin features heavily.
Tigerland.
A fury, fighting fury away from Tigerland.
We're going to get these words right if you're going to play for the Tigers.
That's the scene then for Friday night football. Etihad Stadium. Glorious Melbourne night. And so far, very entertaining game of football. As back come the Saints. A goal after the siren is the difference between these two sides. It was 7 points at quarter time. 6-9 to 6-3 then. I would imagine both sides can take heart from the first half, Tom. Both had their moments.
Yeah, certainly a really defensive game, and Bruce and Lee were talking during the first quarter about Ross Lyon's print, and it's certainly there on both sides. They're playing with the spare man behind the ball.
That says it all. Back in action. Watching his, I was going to say favourite team, but he likes the Storm as well. They're up by 6 points and they've got a battle on their hands. And Fremantle, who didn't travel well last season, appear to have come across this time with a different timetable, and they've gone pretty well. But a long way to go in this one. And there's one of the men they've got to restrain in the second half. Has never really gone off against Fremantle. And the same with Matty Pavlich, who's played more games against St Kilda than every other club apart from the West Coast Eagles. 21 games for, I think, 24 goals from memory. So he too has never taken them by the scruff of the neck.
I always think scoring shots are a reasonable indication of the game. They're only 6 points in front. It happens to be 6 scoring shots. So St Kilda are having more shots at goal than Fremantle. So just at the moment, the way the game is balancing up, I think it's Ross Lyon has to try and change something to just get a little bit more danger in his forward half, mainly to stop, I think, at least the St Kilda rebound into what probably looks just a little bit more dangerous as a forward group.
I think you're spot on, Lee. I think the key for Fremantle is to find a different avenue to go other than Matthew Pavlich. We saw Pavlich is there, Anthony's there. I think Chris Main's the player. He's been quiet tonight. He's sort of doing a job on Fisher as well. Really important that he gets up and active and gives the Freo Dockers an avenue to go.
A lot made of Ross Lyon coming into this game, but certainly it's a vital game for both these clubs as well. Get that flying start, push up to 3-1. McAvoy, a little skip as he came in, didn't really contest the bounce. And the umpire will do it again.
The other thing that has started, we've just basically got the pairs forward and back, so that spare man back has been sort of dropped off at the start of this quarter.
Seems to me when the game was open, Fremantle looked better. Opportunity for Crowley, and it's closed up. The Saints like that. Bit more finesse. Dempster got it from Hayes. Long kick. Back goes Johnson. Happy to see it go out of bounds.
One of the things we haven't seen so far in this game, which has been a trend in footy this year, has been the quick centre clearance that's gone into a one-on-one where a key forward's taken a power mark.
So McPhee, so it's 6-9 to 6-3 here. 45-39 the Saints. Montagna, good kick inside. Finds Polo. He started industriously, Polo. Now kicks to the pocket, Revolt the target. McFarlane, McPhee. Gilbert got a hand in there. Del Santo held up in the tackle and a boundary throw-in. So just repeating that score, 45-39. Saints by a goal, courtesy of Cozzy's goal after the siren. There it is. Mzungu, pretty good first half. Had a great game here last year when he played on Del Santo. Sandilands and McAvoy, well read by Stephen. No real handball. Hill can't get the kick away. Gilbert, Jones, Barlow. Del Santo got a hand in there, and then De Boer put the tackle on Jones, Jones, and a boundary throw in. Richo.
Yeah, look, I think it might be worth with Sandilands at the centre bounce. He's got clear advantage in there, getting his hand on it, but they're getting nothing out of it. So it might be time just to get the ball moving forward and smash it forward for a while.
McAvoy and the big guy, Sandilands. Hill, a half opportunity. Polo again, well done. Hayes slips it away. Goddard, the high ball inside the forward 50. Almost onto the chest of Stanley down there. Crumbed by Geary, upended. Taken by Johnson. Pearce kept his head. Barlow took a while. He got it from Dawson. Now Ballantyne towards the outer side wing. It runs on close to the boundary. Simpkin wants the boundary and it goes out of bounds. I was just wondering whether in fact Hayden Ballantyne reported back to his coach that they weren't talking to him on the ground. And to counteract that, in a tactical manoeuvre, Ross Lyon has told the Fremantle players to abuse Ballantyne. Montagna gives a hand pass to Hayes. Lateral thinking as the ball goes down towards the pocket. Don't rule it out. We've got a free kick. It's going Fremantle's way.
Stay there. Stay there. Stay there.
Gee, that's interesting call, isn't it? So Dawson.
Play on yours.
And the play on quickly from Mundy. Mzungu now. De Boer now they're on because Clark, can he get it to him? Kept it low, and if this ball sits up now, Clark's quick. Looks up, neat kick, well done. To Main, kick to Main, and goes back to Pavlich, and he's within range.
Even then, so Main got on the end of that. To me, it's looked like a player who's a little out of confidence tonight. Typically, a key forward would go back and slot it from there. He took the extra risk to bring it back in board, but certainly within Matthew Pavlich's reach.
He's had a good night, Pavlich. I mean, his stats aren't big, but I reckon he's had a real influence. He created a couple of goals, the kick to Mzungu, the handball under pressure in the centre square. These are big kicks, aren't they? He kicked a couple late against Geelong early this year. He's kicked a few that have hit the post in the past. That's a great goal. Scores a level again. The skipper brings them back. Is he one of your favourites, Dennis?
Yeah, he's a great player and a really classy guy too, which helps, doesn't it? Went through the tough years when he first got to Perth. Not an easy thing to be a youngster trying to make your way down at Fremantle because they were really struggling, but he's put his stamp on this club. I mentioned his record before, 6 best and fairests, 7 times leading goal kicker at the club. Quite outstanding.
We know that Pavlich was the one who finished the goal, but I thought the fact that Dawson was able to take the slight risk, kick the ball back into the centre corridor out of the back pocket, that started the flow of possessions.
One down by McAvoy. Stolen away there by Armitage. Forced to kick on his right foot, and as a result, it's not a great kick. It bounces very high outside the 50. Johnson, who's been stellar back there for the most part of the night, gets it his second time. The Saints making hard work of this. Down goes Stanley. That was a strong tackle that got him down.
Thanks, Reece.
And we'll have a ball up. Crowley
Thanks, Reece.
making the point. Thought he should have got a free. Nothing doing. Sandilands again. First hand to it. Close to the boundary. Kept in by Jones. Hooks it back towards the middle. Cleared the pack, runs free. McPhee into Mines, thought about a bounce, thought about a hand pass, decides to kick poorly up towards the wing. That was the third of 2 options. It goes out of bounds and we'll have a throw in. At least they made some ground there.
It's always about now when you start to think about the substitute. It's young Neil it is for the Dockers. Small player, lightning quick.
Sandilands hit it directly to Newnes. Now McFarlane. Well done, Montagna. McFarlane was tied up by Revolt. That was effective too. Stephen creates some space where there was none, but then kicks it to a man where there was no St.Kilda representation. Duffield, 15 metres out. Stephen did the hard work. Obviously didn't really take a look as to where he was kicking. Ibbotson goes very wide. Subban's got it.
At half-back.
They'll look to try and bring it back in the centre square here, but I think St Kilda are just a little bit covering that direction a little bit better than they were early.
These kicks from defence. Yep, Clark the target leg. So these kicks from defence have paid off for Fremantle on occasions and been costly on others. That's a helicopter to Hill, who is quick. We know that. Normally a pretty good kick. He's in a couple of minds, keeps it short, lovely stuff, and brings Anthony into the game. Well done, Hill.
It's interesting about bringing the ball back into the middle. Most sides that play the corridor will have a long key ruckman, Sandilands or Clark on this occasion, but it has been Sandilands and Clark that have been the ones who have actually got their hands on the middle. So that's something that St Kilda will certainly need to watch.
This is important for Fremantle. If he could kick 2 or 3 goals in the last quarter, Anthony, I reckon they almost would win the game because they just need one more forward who looks dangerous. He hasn't at this point. But you get one shot, maybe you get a goal, all of a sudden your confidence rises.
Remember what an accurate kick he was for Collingwood when he had the 50-goal season. You say it's a big kick for the Dockers. It's a really big kick for Jack too, I reckon. Yep. He's had a quiet night. That will help. And the Dockers get their biggest lead of the night. Well, Dennis, I think at half-time, a lot of people probably had Jack out of the team next Friday night already. So he needed that.
Sorry, Bruce, I didn't hear what you had to say.
And I was just saying that I reckon at half-time a lot of people had Jack Anthony already out of next Friday night's team. He needs a big second half.
Yes.
And that'll help him.
I don't think he's still a certainty next week, mind you. He needs a couple more.
Richo, Dal Santo and Crowley have been coming on and off the ground together. How have you seen that matchup?
Oh, it's a definite tick for Fremantle and Crowley. Ross Lyon spoke before the game about how damaging Dal Santo is when he kicks the ball inside 50. He's only had the 2 kicks for the night. He has kicked a goal, but Crowley has 2. Crowley on top there.
Stephen out of the middle, goes down towards half forward. Revolt. Oh, what a terrific mark. Revolt about 60 metres out. Nobody back. Back leading is Kozetski. Uses his strength on Dawson and treated him a bit like a rag doll.
Zach, just half a metre.
So Kazetsky, who got the tiebreaker, if you like, just before half-time, a chance to get his second. And I think that will be the lasting image of Nick Revolt when we look back on his career, just coming at that ball full-chested and taking it without breaking stride.
It's been a great contest, but McFarlane is a good mobile running defender, but they're charging around that pair.
So Kazetsky, kick is good. He's got two. Well, it's hard to make ground on a man like Kazetsky going back as Dawson was, and so it should be. I mean, Kazetsky is a bulky customer, and he was the immovable object that Dawson ran into, and Dawson bounced off him. Old teammates, I would imagine they've gone against each other quite often on the training track. Kazetsky just knew where he was sitting, I think, in the scheme of things.
Just has too much height here for Zach. Got caught under the ball, and Cozzy is a great contested mark. Just watching him tonight, he's moving as well as I reckon he's moved for a couple of years. He's kicked the last couple of goals for the Saints, but it's just his movement that's looked a lot better tonight.
Yeah, he only played 13 games last year, Richo, and I agree. He's looked fluent tonight. He's got a couple. He's got 8 for the season. And Revolt to Kazetsky, the number 1 and number 2 draft picks from that pretty famous draft at the time. The Saints getting the top 2.
We see the clearances there. That's a big win, 26-14. Taken it away quite easily, St Kilda.
So that's what Richo suggested, that Sandiland belt the ball forward. Pavlich tries to ride the tackle and get a bit of a wave going. Hill's handball cut off by Hayes to Jones. Jones-Malera is a smart footballer. Malera over the top. Noons back to Malera. Oh, that was good stuff in board. Now, Cozzy probably went the wrong way. Hayes back, cut off Hill. Hill on the up. Johnson's been really good, I reckon, and that one cut off, just as I said that, by Stanley in a boundary throw-in. Great contest. You feel for the Saints tonight, it would be a good win at home. For Freo, it would actually be a great win away. You just feel that if they could get a win here, that would set their season up no end.
Sandilands knocked it down. Malera tackled high. Defending player was Hill. Montagna runs away close to the boundary line. Long ball towards the 52-on-1 Freo. No one really affected the contest. Del Santo has it smothered. It ricochets off McPhee and goes out of bounds.
We saw the third man come up on that occasion there. St Kilda has still been able to take 12 marks inside their forward 50, so Freo creating the loose man but not influencing the marking contest.
Hayes again in after the hard ball. Malera only advanced at about 5 metres. Stephen has it. Crowley's got him. We await the whistle.
No reasonable attempt.
No reasonable attempt. Well,
No reasonable attempt, Nick.
I don't think regardless of the attempt he would have got it out, but he must make an attempt. That's the situation.
I think sometimes the umpires underestimate the strength of the tackler. Like when your grasps are in the two arms, the player with the footy is virtually powerless to do anything.
Yep. There's the ball.
Play on, play on, play on.
Told to play on. Nice centering kick. Oh, waiting for it was Hill. Advantage is paid. Yep. Clancy Pierce away. Kicks inside the forward 50. This will be interesting. Off the ground by Ballantyne. No, it's always shallow. It spins towards the behind line and helped across by Gilbert.
It's bad use from the middle end. They were on Fremantle. All they had to do was hold on. Looked like Neil's about to be activated from the sub, but they were going forward, and it was really a quick kick, just a one-on-one contest. The player in the middle of the field was Clancy Pierce. Had to hold on for it a bit longer to let Ballantyne get into a bit of space.
Montagna, long ball out wide. Moon, well done there by McPhee's played well. See, Lockie Neal about to come on. His mum and dad are here tonight, Robbie and Angela, from around Narracourt way.
Something in the water around Narracourt way, you reckon, Bruce?
Well, 3 of the draft picks from last year for the Dockers, all from that area. Had a terrific back end for Glenelg, didn't he, last year? Played in Mark Mickens' actually last game as their coach, and then went and played in the under-18 final, but we'll see him in a moment. So, great time to come on for a match. Dockers lead by a point. Big stage here on a Friday night. Del Santo, Crowley, Montagna, Ibbotson. Montagna wheeled the ball forward. Johnson, Kazitsky rips the ball away. Revolt, Del Santo, Gets it forward. Goddard takes a strong mark. Milne running hard.
Where you are? A metre in front of me.
I think they all wanted Stevie Milne to get hold of it.
Yes, I think it was might have been a little bit of a professional hold-up, but the umpire didn't penalise, and therefore have a look at this. Milne is running into the goal square. That's almost a 50-metre penalty, you'd think. Tackled after the mark.
Well, you couldn't think of a better bloke to have the ball, though, could you? As he misses. So even the best kicks sometimes don't kick it straight.
And Subin's the guy that's come off as a sub, guys.
So Neil's on the ground, and I would think that Ross Lyon agonised over the decision as to who to bring off, because a couple of midfielders haven't had big nights. There's one of them, Hill. Neil immediately into the action to Johnson. Neil brings speed, there's no question about that. Taken by Simpkin as the ball came to the back of the pack. Neil in there again. Does well twice, ties it up. The other one is Mundy. So just looking at the stats there for the two on ballers, 11 to Mundy, and Hill has had 14.
But he's got about 3 or 4 of those, I reckon, in this last 5 minutes or so. He's starting to work his way into the game. And he's the best ball carrier, I would have thought.
That's right.
That Fremantle have got.
I reckon until he did that, he was in the sights of the coach. I think he may have just played. That's when I said agonised. I think he may have been thinking of Hill, and then Hill may have saved his own bacon, because he is a potential match winner. Did a couple of good things on the outer side wing about 3 or 4 minutes ago. Boundary throw in. Over the top, Clark wins it down. There he is again. Hill bounces it up towards the wing. It's amazing the threat of the sub coming on sometimes can stimulate players. That's a clever kick by Ballantyne around the corner. De Boer's got it.
I think. Sometimes the player has to know whether to be quick or patient, and he just wasn't sure what to do with De Boer.
He sends it long eventually, and that was almost a clever thing to do, because there weren't Saints back. As it was just offline.
And that behind puts them a point in front. Dangerous kick out. Gee, well done there by Stephen. He was outnumbered 2-1, and he got back and was able to force the ball out of play.
And there we see little Neil again. I reckon he's been in 4 contests already. He looks like a real little desperate nut at the footy.
And so over the top, Clark.
5.
Here he is again.
To Ballantyne. So Neil to Ballantyne, and then Mundy. And then Broughton just spent it before. So great start for Neil here.
I know it's only just a really small snapshot of a career, obviously, but it was like when Luke Dalhouse came on for the Bulldogs. He gave some real bite with just his energy around the contest. That could be the role that Neil plays for the Dockers.
I just reckon the fact that Ross Lyon picked him on a Friday night, big stage against the Saints, said something about the boy, don't you?
Yeah.
I mean, plays for Swan Districts, I think I'm right. He had a lot of touches last weekend. Richo, give us a quick one down there.
We know how good Ross Lyon is as a coach. You've got to take something away from the opposition, and St Kilda just cannot get the ball in their hands and hold on to it with marks tonight. Only 5 marks for the quarter. That's been their strength in the first 3 rounds.
Hayes, the third man up right there, so he's doing it all now. At half-time, Lenny had 16. He's now up to 21. I'd say on performance that knee is great. I mentioned Ben Allen earlier. He had the misfortune, despite the fact he was a great player, his knees retired about 3 seasons before him. Lenny is back in business. Pearce got it from Clark. The high ball inside the forward 50. Well, that was interesting. Wouldn't have been a pleasant odour down there. Anthony in the armpit of an opponent. Pavlich grabs the footy, snaps and pulls it back too much. A behind. It's getting ugly.
Come back, Jason. Come back, Chris. Give it to them. Yep.
So good kick out.
Thanks, Stephen.
Noons, another first-year player, just his 3rd game, another teenager out there tonight. Saints have got 5 blokes that have played over 200 games tonight, but they've got a lot at the other end of the scale as well. Noons kicks, McPhee front spot, well done, Stephen. Revolt, McFarlane just held him up. Gee, Johnson's been very good. McPhee's been pretty good as well. And then McPhee measures the kick. Ballantyne outnumbered and a good mark. Geary, who started brilliantly, but Blake had control of Ballantyne.
There's no point putting it on Ballantyne's head in a 2-on-1 marking contest. I mean, you've just got to... They're obviously on top a bit here, Fremantle, I reckon, but they've got to use the ball a little bit more precisely going forward.
So Hayes to Dempster. It's on a knife edge, really, Lee. I mean, it's been a bit like that all night, hasn't it?
It's a matter of who can take their chances with that little bit of... There's extra space now because the intensity has just dropped off a little.
And Polo creates a bit of space here, 50 out.
Runs to 50. Sends a high ball down towards full forward. Kaczynski! Will it be a free kick? No, it won't. Kaczynski paid the mark. There was a lot of body work about 5 metres away from Kaczynski when he marked it.
Clear out, guys, clear out.
I got the end of Ibbotson and you guys off the footy here. No. Even if I miss the first thing, don't you retaliate and make me get you.
Justin, that's the line. Mark him, mate.
I'm watching it, all right? I'll have a word in as well.
The conversations out there. Kaczynski, oblivious to all of that, eyeing his third, kicks it. Not his best kick, but it goes through.
Well, I'm with Richo. I reckon Cossey's really moving well. That was a great mark. Just a hard-fought goal. I saw the umpire talking to Lee Montagna about Derek Ibbotson and Montagna a moment ago. So the lead back to the Saints. And Kaczynski must have kicked their last 3 goals in this match, I guess.
Another mark for the Saints inside their forward 50. That's 14. Fremantle only average 8 against so far this year, which I reckon it's contested possession. St Kilda currently dominating that 26 over Freo at the moment.
Yeah, they are, but then they're not holding on to it like they usually are with kick mark. So Freo have taken that away from them. That's probably why they're still in the game.
Big battle at centre-half forward for the Saints. Pearce, plenty of St Kilda players, all got a bad bounce. They had everything there. Clark goes a long way back, Clark. He had a few blokes forward. Sandilands to Pavlich. Saints should be able to shore it up. Anthony did a good job and takes a beauty. Revolt in the hands of the train as a centre-half forward. That was a hard knock, wasn't it? Belted hard in the contest.
Just attacks the ball in the air, Revolt, as we always
should have got
know.
a free kick, really.
Should have.
I mean, he was manhandled there over the shoulder. Well, Jack Anthony, who at half-time, basically, you felt like he'd played his way out of the Dockers for the rest of the year. I mean, he's struggled, really, in the last couple of years. What's he done, Jack? He's played 7 games for Collingwood in 2010 and 4 games for the Dockers in 2011.
I think he's done Jack.
Well, that's it. And kicked a couple in the third.
He's back in.
Well, one end of the ground, Dennis, Nick's scratching his head and thinking, why not? And at the other end, Jack Anthony is suddenly resurrecting, certainly his game tonight. There's been a good contribution by him in the second half.
You think that'd be hard to miss, wouldn't you? That looping roundhouse from McFarlane. And then Jack, the juggled mark at the other end. Dockers by 2 points.
So, yeah, I think what they'd be seeing tonight is they'd be interesting when those 2 Carlton jumping ruckmen go into the skyscraper. Sandlands
gets a lot of his taps that way on the way down. He sort of makes that initial body contact.
He doesn't jump at the footy, does he?
No.
He more reaches at the footy.
But he watches the other bloke, doesn't he?
Yeah. It was at that point of actually getting up at the centre bounce occasionally and actually thumping the ball forward. To do that, you've got to have some momentum. Your body's got to be going at the footy. Now, I've never done a ruck contest in my life, so this is only from observation, Dennis. If my technique is wrong, tell me.
No, I was supposed to, but I didn't either. Barlow down towards half forward, and the mark is taken by Gilbert. A lot of people wanting to run into you, Lee. It never appealed to me. Ball goes towards the outer side. Geary. Interesting. Shepherd by Blake. It was a push in the back.
Straight to him.
Valentine goes down towards half forward. Taken by Main. So Valentine winning the free on the outer side. And Main. He's side up by 2 and the game very much in the balance. Goes very short. Mundy, not 15. Back to Duffield. That's 15. DeBoer has got it.
There's been a lot of emphasis on Hayden Valentine for some of the sledging things that he does, but that chase was absolutely fantastic. He was too out, had no right to win that ball back, deserved it thoroughly, and that's what he does bring to the game. He's got some real factor about that.
So De Boer will kick it goal from about 35 metres. Best club man for the last 2 years. That's something. Very popular. So down Freo way, they're happy to talk about De Boer. In he comes, and he puts it through.
Well, it's been a really good quarter again for the Dockers here. He's got the most tackles in the forward 50 for anyone in the competition in the first 3 rounds, De Boer. Usually plays as a defensive forward, I guess, doesn't he? So this is the biggest margin all night for the Dockers. The biggest margin in the match has been 9 points by the Saints. So that's how close it's been. There's Fisher, important playmaker for St.Kilda, but it's been kept pretty much under control. Del Santos certainly has been kept under control. Ballantyne, quick kick forward. Clark almost. Anthony getting on to it. Pavlich, Saints getting back in numbers, and then Fisher getting involved. That ball scooping out.
Oh,
Now Crowley, that ball not coming out. Umpire looking for it.
Where's the footy? There's a lot of bodies there. I think the footy's there somewhere.
Well, he should have been gone, shouldn't he? But there's obviously a statute of limitations. If the ump doesn't blow the whistle within the first 30 seconds, then it's pretty tough to make it retrospective. There's the thump towards full forward by Sandilands, starting to really exert a presence on this game. Jones, a bouncing ball, the Saints under pressure. Dempster towards the boundary line. Geary played it pretty well. That wasn't out. Well played, Geary. Stephen, Gilbert kicked a couple of goals. Malera across the ground. Now they can run it around the outer side, but nothing much to kick to beyond this one. Kazitsky's got it. Malera's running hard. Now Revolt comes with a dash. Revolt in front. McFarlane gets to him and thumps it out of bounds. Well, they took off about 50 metres away. McFarlane just 2 marks tonight. Twice he's taken 20. A career best 20 twice against the Saints. But still he's doing his job.
2-1 to 4-3 in this quarter so far. Dockers way. Hill on the up, good hands. Neil again. Barlow, Hill. Couldn't break. Simkin was terrific. Clark's stretch was important and gets away from Blake and gets a lot on it. What a goal. That was special. Well, that was remarkable. They're match winners, aren't they?
Absolutely.
Lee talked about the fact that he likes his athleticism and basketballer to start off with, this young guy, but that was just a magnificent solo effort.
It's good to see Hill take them on there and try to break through, but this is an amazing athletic performance here by Clark, and this is a really good story. Basketball background, there's your future there when you're looking at international recruiting. Outstanding.
Wide of the pack, Del Santo hasn't found it often tonight. Ibbotson, Barlow, Mundy, that's clever. Comes back to Duffield. Duffield goes to half forward. Broughton gave a contest, but the quality against him simply too good. Fisher towards half forward. Missed by Kazitsky. Malera knocked it on. Wonderful body work by Johnson. Cleared apart for McPhee. Kazitsky, though, won the ball back, goes to Milne, measured the kick nicely. Stephen, confronted by Johnson, has to concede, comes back to Milne, great pressure, Fremantle. Out of bounds.
So I reckon it's been a real plus for Stephen Hill. He'd been tagged, sort of his confidence was down in the first half. Anthony's got a couple of goals this quarter. Yeah, they've really lifted themselves this quarter.
Mundy, Sandilands, Clark ran into a dead end, falling to the ground. Hayes. That suggests the best of the midfielders from either side. Kazitsky could have been held. Comes down in front. Mzungu, McPhee, Duffield. That's classy. Under pressure. Great quality. Oh, Broughton had to get a free kick. Slow whistle, Umpy. Haven't paid too many free kicks. The free's at 8-8. Mzungu breaks away.
And Ballantyne's had 3 of those 8, Dennis, up until that moment. So you're right. Barlow at half back. It's been a great turn by the Dockers. They've kicked 5 goals to 2. Clark, the most spectacular of them all. And for the Saints, Cossey's kicked their last 3 goals, so they've dried up.
He's been the big target up there, pretty successful.
So that kick, as that goes over the back, they're in trouble here. St Kilda, De Boer, they haven't got it over the back yet. The Saints hang on hard here. Blake was important. Ballantyne, well done, Polo. Did it well again, Polo. Ballantyne gets it out. Little Lockie Newell's in there. Armitage, Broughton, Everton can't quite break the tackle. Ballantyne almost. And then Armitage again. Mzungu throws himself into it. That's good stuff from all players. Ball still not coming out. Still in there. Finally, a ball up.
That's what modern footy. I reckon 12 players touched the footy and there was not one disposal.
The energy's with Fremantle at the moment, no doubt. When Ballantyne's around the ball, there's buzz. Newells has provided a bit of energy. Hill's up and about.
Saints can't afford one here. Hill gets it out, and now the Saints push it forward. McPhee's been solid down back. McPhee and Johnson, they've been really important in the back half tonight, along with your McFarlanes. So a high kick, maybe one last marking chance. Well, he's got it. Can he go all the way, the giant?
Good timing.
Your goal here will really put some space between the two teams.
And this is where I think Clark can become a real advantage. If he can run out enough of the last quarter and you can afford to put the long kicks in, which often happens late in games, Sandilands becomes a huge weapon.
Well, he's kicked 1 goal tonight. It's going to test him. 52 metres out. Is it going to make it? I don't think so, no. Just pulls up short. But the Dockers did a lot in that quarter. Not sure if they've done enough, but they've got themselves a handy lead in what's been a thrilling match on a Friday night at the Dome. It's the Dockers over the Saints. That margin at 3/4 time on Friday Night Football is 14 points.
And the Dockers, that's right, the Dockers have kicked away to lead by 14 points. It's 11-6 to 8-10. Kosicki with 3 leads all comers with the goals, and Lenny Hayes 24 possessions. A lot of resolve came from Fremantle in that term, and if they win this, I suppose the coach will get a lot of credit. The players deserve a lot too. Let's go down to Richo with the Saints defensive coach Danny Sexton.
Well, Danny, you're probably going to have to kick 4 or 5 goals to win. What do you change up now at 3/4 time?
Well, we're just going to have to take our chances. Dockers were effective with one behind the ball, so we're going to have to get to that guy and make it sort of more one-on-one around the ground. But yeah, we're going to need to take our chances. So boys will need to execute their roles, and so they're going to have to dig deep and run it right out and find something, because the Dockers have been right up for it.
So you won't go with a loose man this quarter. You're going to attack, go one-on-one.
Yeah, look, we might get a bit of drop-off, but predominantly we want to get them into a one-on-one contest, and whoever can win the ball and whoever's good enough, we're going to try and take that element out of it.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, mate.
I think there's a bandwagon just starting to roll down the coffee strip at Fremantle. I'm uncertain whether to jump on the next 30 minutes. Tommy will tell me the story.
Well, I heard the words from Daddy Sexton, but I reckon St Kilda are the ones who've been actually trying to get the man behind the footy, and Fremantle have just been responding a bit.
Opening bounce, final term. One down by McAvoy, taken by Barlow, put down by Hayes. Hill upended, got the hand pass away though. Brilliant stuff to Boer. Sliding in there, Sandilands heard a voice, got it out to Barlow. Hill's kick was charged down. That was great by Goddard. Ricochets back in the middle. In goes Mzungu. He's over the ball, trying to back his way out of there. I think it's Simpkin. Or is it Cripps? I think Cripps who's on the ground, because Nunes has come off. You can see him subbed out. So Cripps is the man on. He's slipped on under our guard. Hayes, brilliant. Deft deflection, gave it across to Gilbert. Gilbert, the high ball inside the forward 50. Revolt. Characteristic courage. Created a goal. No, he didn't. Cripps has missed.
Such a classic case there. You come onto the ground, you're up and about, you get your hands on the footy and you just want to blaze away. Just needed a little more poise there, the young fella.
Had a lot of time, didn't he? I mean, we could tell because we're in the stand, but he just rushed himself.
Gee, how good Revolt was, though, wasn't he, to burst the pack there. So the Dockers, they do that long option to Sandilands. Quickly on to Barlow's, had 24 disposals. Pavlich, Dempster. Bull slow to come out. Main clever. Hayes has been magnificent. Polo, hot ball for Blake to Armitage, natural lefty, wants that left side, dangerous kick. Good tackle though on Everton. Free kick though against Geary going to Mzungu. Can't afford the opening goal, the Saints. As Richo said, they've probably got to kick 5 to win St Kilda. They've kicked 8 in 3/4. And they haven't had many goal scorers tonight. Oh, Blake had the chance to take it. Clark, just a little one forward and a boundary throw.
Well, they need 5, and they've got 4 since quarter time, Brooks.
I think the effort's been there from St Kilda. They've been very competitive and dominant, in fact, in the contested possession, but it's the work away from the contest that's Freo on top on.
Saints need to hold here then. Sandilands knocks it down. And the umpire with a quick whistle wants to ball it up.
A good setup. They've got a good setup away from this congestion. Fremantle. They've got a couple of blokes back around the middle of the ground, so St Kilda are going to have to run it out. If they kick it out, it'll just rebound straight in their face.
Sandilands again. McAvoy got it down. Brilliant smother there by Barlow. That ball eventually comes out to Del Santo. Del Santo, we haven't called his name too often tonight, drives it around the other side. Brilliant. Revolt reaching straight up. Classical stuff behind Johnson. Goes down towards half forward. Taken by Stanley. Stanley needs to go long to Kazitsky. He's got a break on Dawson. Dawson comes back hard, but no hope. Kazitsky over the top. Cripps. Oh, what a terrible thing to do there. Kazitsky, it was a shocking hand pass. I suppose the idea was right in as much as Cripps missed the last chance and the youngster seemed to be clear, but the execution not very good to say the least. Well done by Del Santo. Nudges Zach Clark under the football. He's about 75 metres out. Golden opportunity goes begging for the Saints. Del Santo told to play on. Kicks a searching kick inside the forward 50. Knocked away from Kazitsky that time. Comes to Goddard to Revolt. The skipper goes at an impossible goal. And it proves just that. Out of bounds on the full.
And here was the moment, wasn't it? Just here.
Oh, dear.
Well, I think he went about that because he saw Zach Dawson had his hands on hips and thought I could get one away here. So just go back and kick it, though.
So Pearce deep in defence. Fascinating to see how the Dockers play this now. They're sitting on a 2.5 goal lead. How offensive are they? Clark can't get a run at it. They get the ball at the back. G. Hill, not quite, but he got it back to Barlow, to Ballantyne. Geary wraps him up. Ball does come out, though. But G. Hill missed a moment there because had he taken it cleanly...
I've been really impressed with Stephen Hill has... it's a free kick downfield against St Kilda, I think, is it? Or
no, it's a
free kick, Nick Rewald. Forceful contact. On the 50, Luke.
So I guess against McFarlane, not to Revolt. And Revolt sets it up. Where's Cozzy? He's wrestling away. Couldn't quite Dawson with him. And then Geary gets it to Milne. Was it out? It's come here. Richo, tell us what happened.
Yeah, it was actually Clancy Pearce that interfered with Nick Rewalt when he was trying to come at the football, and that was why that free kick was played, Bruce.
And it was there, Richo, was it?
Yeah, I think he blocked his path. It was probably there, yes.
And that ball appears to be out of bounds. That's what the boundary umpire said at the boundary throw in. Pearce, anxious to make amends, moves it about 5 metres, slapped across the line by Duffield.
So I've been really impressed with Stephen Hill's second half. Often he's been tagged out of the game and he sort of just tends to lose his drive and energy. Really good for him to fight his way through a bad first half.
Sandilands thumps it about 15 metres. Ballantyne over the football. Goes out of bounds. It'll be thrown in again. Geary crossing the line with the footy. He's had a good night.
Stephen Hill's brother makes his debut for the Hawks tomorrow night in a big game against the Eagles.
Ballantyne, I think, did a little pushing in the back inside the line there. Sort of supporters quickly picked it up as the hook comes down towards full forward. In front, Duffield. McPhee clears the zone, at least temporarily. Getting back, the mark is taken by Blake.
Has Malera short. Dangerous kick. Well done, Malera. Protected the footy. Gavin Wangan has done a lot of work with Malera. Sort of took him on, well, his sister, of course, his partner, but took Malera on And he's a smart footballer, this bloke. Mature age recruit from the Magpies in South Australia. Famous club. He's made a real impression in his first season. And that one wobbling to the top of the goal square. Bodies everywhere. Broughton, Mzungu, almost cut off. And was that Cripps again? Gee, he's been about, hasn't he?
Gee, Dawson's body work on Kaczynski's testing the umpire's judgment. He really is just getting his body right into him, almost taking his eyes off the footy to spoil.
McAvoy knocks it down. Stephen had the misfortune to be standing in front. Here's Hill, quick hands away. Broughton under pressure. Floats it back towards the defensive 50. Anthony the leap. Bounces obligingly for Simpkin. Geary changes direction completely. Goes across the ground. It was a good kick. Fisher takes the mark, but he's a long way out. They conceded some territory there. But Saints doing the attacking. Kicks into the man on the mark. It wanders inside the 50. It'll be a free kick to Stanley. Taken high by Ibbotson. Or was it Johnson? Not sure. Maybe Johnson.
50.
And now 50.
Oh, that's making a probable goal into a definite goal, isn't it? That's a bad blow.
Yeah.
Failed to give the ball back on the full.
Some terrific blocking between Kaczynski and Stanley to allow Stanley to get the space to get on the end of that kick. Terrific teamwork in the goal square.
So St Kilda dominating attack in this term, and they reap the reward.
Gee, that was a hard-fought goal. St Kilda must have pressed, I reckon, for 6-7 minutes forward at least. Johnson was just a bit slack, to be honest. I mean, he cutting across the arms, and then the 50-metre was unforgivable at this stage. Almost feel like the Dockers are caught in the bright lights right now. It's really important that they don't get gun-shy here.
No question about the free kick. Really unfortunate. And then this is the 50 metre. You've got to give the ball back on the full to the right player. On that occasion, had to go to Stanley, not Montagna. There's the explanation.
So Clark in the ruck. Dockers lead, but the lead is closing. Saints pressing hard. Simpkin, Anthony, and then Dempster getting into Anthony, and then Geary. Goddard just a juggle, but he did well to Hayes. Broughton. Geary with a quick kick to centre wing. Clark, one hand, okay. Oh, the handball was poor. Stephen has Malera inside. Jack running hard, kicks to full forward. Who gets on the end of it? It's Cripps again. He's got it. He's suddenly a super sub.
Wow, the ball has followed him, hasn't it? And that time he just rocked up at the end of the play and put the finishing touch on.
How's that bandwagon going at Fremantle right now, Den?
I'm off again.
They can still win, for sure.
They can still win.
But as you say, momentum now is tricoloured.
There's so much space there for Cripps to run into. Richo, what's your take on the sub coming on with fresh legs?
Oh, it's so obvious in this game. He ran through the middle there and he just had so much more run in him than anyone else on the ground, and that's what the sub's for, and they left it later than what Fremantle did. They left it to three-quarter time.
The unlikely hero then, the boy from East Fremantle, Jamie Cripps, with dash, Dempster, gave it to Jones, Montagna, over the top to Stephen. Oh, good tackle. Coming up to get him was Dawson. Umpire lets them play. Dawson really needed to make a stop there, and he did. And the umpire will ball it up. So the irony, I'm sure, not lost on this crowd. For the moment at least, St Kilda playing it tougher, playing it harder. And the man that taught them to play this way is in the opposing coach's box. This is what Fremantle might aspire to. Malera. Malera is through. Fumbles it, picks it up, stabs it at goal, misses just about everything. Just right at the far behind post. It bounced to the left and scored a behind. So scores are level, and that 14-point margin at three-quarter time has evaporated.
Don't know about you, Bruce, but I bought that for about $1 million, that dummy.
Oh, that was unbelievable, Malera. Just didn't quite finish. Good kick in. So De Boer, important player. Had a good third quarter. De Boer, not such a good kick. We've seen a lot of kicks smothered tonight. Back he comes, and Polo cuts it off. Dockers just can't get it forward to the centre line.
A couple of times they've had success in kicking the ball long down the wing. They had Clark there, but they need a bailout option, particularly when the heat in the game's on.
Pavlich quiet in this last quarter. I'm not sure if he's been at many contests at all. Goddard and Mundy boundary
He's been pretty good in the ruck, big Clark there, but they need to get Sandlin's back on, really. Get him in the ruck, so maybe get Clark up forward and just try and get a little bit of height and agility out of him up there.
So Goddard off a step. Kosicki's been very good. Johnson, Hill, wild handball, wanted Duffield. Jones, Hill tries to corral him. Back to Montagna. Kick to the top of the square's a good one. And belted through, and the Saints are suddenly in front.
The Dockers got right back into the game in the third quarter when they were able to get the ball out in space and into the hands of the real ball carriers. At the moment, the game's certainly being played in St Kilda's terms. It's been contest, repeat stoppage, contest, surge the ball forward to another contest.
Just an irresistible surge by the Saints right now. Fremantle employing the old rope of dope. I think a free kick will go to De Boer. He played for it.
Played it well, didn't he?
Yep. De Boer made contact very early with Goddard. Goes out to Mundy. They've got the extra man down the ground. Play on quickly. Across it comes to Hill, and that's one thing he can do. Pinpoint the footy. He's a terrific young player, Hill. I think the biggest problem is that he doesn't realise how good he can be.
Well, he took the punt to go down the middle, took the long ball down the middle. He played it well, boy. He just made sure, De Boer just made sure that he got the blocking free kick. And if you can get that free possession up around the centre circle, it's very hard to defend.
6-3 from set shots. Here's Pitts. 35 metres out. The biggest kick of the night so far, and he puts it through. That might settle the nerves. They're back in front.
Yeah, terrific kick.
It's good overhead, Pearce, isn't he?
He's
really confident.
He's really come of age this year, hasn't he, so far? He must feel like he's a regular now, which is something he hasn't for a couple of years. He's a good size, isn't he? He's quick enough. He kicks the ball well. He's got a lot of body weight.
He actually, his kicking style reminds me a bit of Paul Northeast, Bruce.
Paul Northeast, yeah.
Port Adelaide player, half-back for the Magpies.
There's Sam Fisher and Chris Mayne, and it's a matchup we haven't talked about. Fisher had 12 touches at half-time, but Mayne is playing a defensive forward role on him, only 2 touches in this second half. A good job being done there.
So the 10th lead change for the night. Gibalo was very good. Kicks the ball to half forward. Here is Mayne and Fisher, the duel Richo was talking about. De Boer tried to keep it in. Polo. Geary searches. Gee, did well. Geary really well to Hayes. Beautiful handball. Malira's got a few tricks. Back to Geary. Oh, that's dangerous. A bouncing Sharon. It was okay. Goddard spoke to it. It obliged. Got to Montagna. They get some width. McAvoy didn't use the run of Gilbert. McAvoy lopes and then tries to have pinpoint accuracy. Milne worked underneath, free kick. Hang it back.
Pretty good match-up, that one, for Fremantle. McPhee's done pretty well back there.
So Milne pokes it forward. Pavlich half volley, well played. To Pearce, to Mzungu, to Ballantyne. Ballantyne, great kick off a step to De Boer. I feel like Sandilands will probably play the rest of the match now. He's gone back on. You feel like he can go all the way here.
Dockers by 5 points. Ballantyne relishing the situation in the space. Finds Mundy. Hill.
One on here.
Hill can go long. Well, Clark is by himself in the goal square. Anthony's got the football.
No, it's here. It's here.
This might be his third.
Well, he's kicked 2. Clark got in behind the defence. He was, when this ball came short, not this one, that's a brilliant gather by Pavlich, but when they moved it down the ground, he finds a teammate here in Anthony, but had Hill spotted Clark and gone the long kick to the square, that would have been rubber stamping a goal. This needs to be kicked. Anthony, 45 metres. He can become an unlikely hero at this end. It's hanging to the right. It's trying to come back. It won't.
Had that huge here at Collingwood where he kicked 50 goals. So not much room for error now for the Saints, you feel. They've dominated much of this last quarter. They've reduced the margin from 14 to 6, and at one stage they poked their head in front. Cripps, he's been the story of the last quarter in so many ways. Missed a sitter, kicked one, almost had another. Kicks to Kosicki, good kick, good mark. And there's the other sub who made a mark early, Lockie Neal. Cozzy uncertain. Had a good night, Kosicki, except for one bad mistake in this quarter. Kicked a good stretch in the front. That's a lovely mark from Dempster. And Dempster's, he's going to load it up, keeps it low to the pocket, and the ball just fading away. And a boundary throw-in.
Freo have been very good at setting up defensively. This is a great mark from Dempster. But they have had a great ability tonight in roll off their direct opponents and help out.
Boundary throw-in, surrounded with Sandilands, picks up the ball in any case. Mzungu kicks it outside the defensive 50, lucky bounce. Now a chance for Main. De Boer comes back to Barlow, not the spot for it. Asked a lot of Clark, leading back in the races Blake. Blake and Clark, they both overrun the footy like two vaudevillians in a cow suit. Eventually it comes across towards Fisher. Picked up and hand passed nicely by Blake. Gave it to Simpkin. Now they distance the ball from the pack. Came from Gilbert to Hayes, who bounces it out of bounds.
Crowd tonight, 30,172. So Pavlich from Sandilands. Hills had a really good second half. That one not getting far, and Jones cuts it off. So percentage play so important here. Dockers have got the edge because they lead by a goal. Saints to load up. Dempster long and hard. Cozzy's been catching them all night. Couldn't quite. Duffield. Nice kick. And Hill takes a good mark, and he's quickly off and takes a chance. He's become almost the most influential player in the second half for the Dockers. Gets to Main, and then Main with a slow short one to Mundy. They're on now.
McPhee on the outer side. Nobody near him. Oh, he left him. Oh, Geary, what was he thinking? He went to no man's land. Ball comes to Mzungu, the man he left. Mzungu runs to 40 metres out. And I think he's kicked a goal. Oh, what a kick. Geary. What a mistake.
Stephen Hill's so important again. Just the run from half-back, but gee, as Dennis said, Jared Geary's had a good night, but that was... just took off Mzungu. I mean, he had to sort of hold the zone for a while, didn't he? Just to slow the play down, and Mzungu, it's a great finish. It was a great finish from about 45 metres out. 60-degree angle, and now he's kicked 2 goals.
Well, this is a fantastic goal by Mzungu, but that all came about. Zach Dawson came running off the bounce. You could just see him in the goal square there. He came running off the bench and ran straight to the goal square. It caused all of the St Kilda matchups in the forward 50 to have to come off their men, and that overlap was created from Mzungu.
Gee, they've got to dig deep now. Crowley gets a tackle. Cripps gets the ball forward. Cozzy in the front spot. Johnson. Ibbotson, back he goes. McFarlane squeezes it cleverly to Broughton. So Broughton told to play on, good kick. Barlow, still with Barlow, gets to Main. Does he go back to Barlow? He does. What a great accumulator he is, Barlow, but that one not such a good result, and out on the full. So turnover importantly for the Saints.
Come back over.
So back we go. Gives Freo a chance to get all their numbers back. Sandilands putting himself just on the 50, defensive 50.
So Gilbert on the boundary line. It's been a great comeback by the Dockers. High ball towards the attacking 50. Dawson reaches over the top and thumps it out of bounds. Well played.
David, don't go in.
Scotty Waters, 26 games for Fremantle. Coached Subi to premierships in 07 and 08 in the WAFL. There's Freo's inaugural vice-captain. Mentioned those premierships in the second year. Greg Broughton was the best and fairest for Subi. Out there doing well right now for Fremantle. On the outer side, Main gives a contest. It falls in front. Gilbert can't keep it in. Spills across the line. And time now, the ally of Fremantle. He knows that. 6:20 remaining. And you would think the closing down of Fisher leads back to Lyon's doorstep. That has been a masterstroke tonight. Crowley picking himself up ruefully along with McAvoy. McAvoy has drifted out of the game. 85-73 final term. Friday night football at Etihad Stadium. This has been everything that was billed and more. Up high was Polo. Hayes, who's been wonderful, close to the boundary line. No support, though, surrounded by Dockers. He's going to get a free kick. Advantage is paid. Now Milne's away. Far too nimble for Sandilands. The high kick. It's weaving back. 6 points the difference.
Well, I was just working out how many times Stephen Milne hasn't kicked a goal in the match. The answer's 35 out of his 240, but he gets, well, a crucial goal. Advantage paid. Hayes getting a sort of late tackle here. I mean, it was, well, half and half, I guess, but Milne taking advantage, and the Saints, well, they probably had to get to that to have a chance, and they certainly have a chance now.
It's really that advantage where everyone looks at the umpire, and Milne's smart enough to say, well, I'm off with the footy, and he's had an ordinary night. McPhee's been very good in that matchup, but it's always there when it counts.
So, yeah, got the big thump, didn't he? To Neil, cut off by Goddard. Ball still not quite coming out. Pearson, Jones to Montagna. To Armitage, running wide and running hard. Gets the ball back in board. Well done by Malira. Little gift to Montagna, and that one forced out. Just thinking, Dennis, these two clubs have had one of the most famous finishes in the history of the game. Was this a flick pass from Malira? Oh, yep. Yeah, it was just a throw. Thinking of Siren Gate down in Tassie, we might have another classic tonight.
Yeah, well, it's a while since we've done a draw, you and I, Bruce. We had a spate of them early last year as the ball goes towards the wing behind Gilbert. Couldn't complete the mark. Blake going to the ground. Jones the hurried kick. High ball towards the attacking 50. Well, not sure who was interfering with whom there. It comes across towards Armitage. Pulls it back towards the boundary line. Up comes McAvoy, and it spills out of bounds.
Yeah, it's a free kick every day of the week.
Yeah, it has to be. He's pushing back hard, but the arm's going all over his shoulder.
Sandilands and Stanley. Hasn't been easy to get a free tonight. Sandilands, it ricocheted back to Pearce, who kicks it about 25 metres, close to the boundary. Clark is growing in stature. De Boer brilliantly done, and Hill takes on Hayes, too nimble, and he's away. Hill through midfield, one-out contest. Pavlich and Fisher. This is top shelf. Fisher's got the advantage though. Onto the boot, brilliant finish under pressure. He knew the quality of the man chasing him. Goddard to Hayes. All the big names now. The cream is rising to the top. Geary, we'll include you in that. He's had a good night. Montagna.
He certainly deserves to be there too. Montagna to Malira. Got Revolt running past him. Malira's kicked to full forward. Milne almost for Steve. He'll be disappointed. Mundy on the up. McFarlane puts Mundy under pressure. De Boer, Sandilands, Malira cuts it off. He's clever, Malira, should have got a free kick. Montagna, Armitage, De Geary. He's kicked the ball well tonight, Geary. That one coming towards full forward. At the bottom was Milne, not quite. Johnson, Ibbotson rides the tackle. Johnson on the up. Little gift to Zach Clark. Clark to McFarlane. They dodged a bullet. St. fans hate that. Kicks the ball out. Gilbert almost. Main and Gilbert. This is important. Still Main and Gilbert. Little Lockie Neal. Ball coming out. Well played. Hayes to full forward. And Zach Clark, worth more than a Zach right now, takes the mark.
Mainly coming up with the free security in those really hot contests. They're mostly coming up with the ball.
Fremantle very lucky there. Saints could have got a couple of free kicks. Broughton has to wait, stretches. marks it, plays on immediately. Mundy cruising past Ballantyne, leads back in the race, looking for some separation. It took a St.Kilda bounce. Stephen did well, knocked it across to Geary. Stephen's got it now, pursued earnestly by Ballantyne. Across the ground, it's with Blake. Blake takes off, could go over the top. Well, he decides to go laterally. It comes to Goddard. The short one is on to Del Santo. Dangerous with the ball in his hands. Del Santo told to play on. Man on the wing. Goes very wide. Taken by Blake. 384 games they've played, the Fremantle Dockers. Never had a draw. Montagna's away. Searching kick inside the forward 50. Dawson came to it. Interfered with, will get the free.
It's got the rubber to green
the
there.
arms were chopped.
Zach, I reckon he's just about giving away 6 free kicks, but none got paid. But when it was his free kick, that one.
No, we didn't call it.
50-metre penalty. Boy, doesn't it get battle of the survival of the fittest when it gets late in games, just the way the game's being played now.
So let's have a look at that's the 50. Interesting, here's the reaction from Scotty Waters. So Dawson, Duffield's a long kick, we know that. Bangs it to full forward. Pavlich almost held the ball down. They've got to hang on to it here, the Dockers. De Boer, Neil, Mzungo going forward. It was touched. Fisher's trying to milk it a bit. And is that out on the full? Not quite. Well, the tale of two coaches right now. The man who took the Saints to those 3 grand finals against his old team. Mzungo got it from over the back. Well done by Gilbert to Jones. Dempster. Gee, they did well, the Dockers. Broughton with a high, hard and straight one. And they're nearly home now.
Some really key contests. Even a couple of minutes go down to their defensive end that Freo have actually come out on top of, and that's where you get great confidence for a young group. Certainly not over yet by any stretch. The Saints can get a couple of quick ones, but it's been the willingness to get in and win the hard ball, repeat stoppage.
This is a really important one, not to fall on the back of the St.Kilda player over the footy. They kept their feet, they kept their discipline, and that kept the ball alive, didn't give away the free kick. And again, you only need to grab a shot with half a step of space, 30 metres out. And, 2 goals. It's going to be a tough, long way back for St Kilda now.
I mentioned the association between Broughton and Scott Waters, who always believed in Greg Broughton. I remember one day he got me to ring the Western Bulldogs to try and get him a game. Ironic then that he kicks this goal tonight. And what's a big night for both these clubs and both these coaches. Hand pass comes across to Broughton again. Broughton is lifting. High ball downwards, full forward. Anthony almost. A goal here should seal it. Dying seconds, really. Close to the boundary line. That will do. Now, how will they call this? Boundary throw in. Anthony made it very well.
He was trying to hand pass it behind to make it a 13 points. Thought that through quite well.
And so did the umpire to realise that. Didn't knock him off for deliberate. Sandilands. Simpkin. Hangs in the air, Goddard. The margin is 12 points, just over a minute to go.
Goddard down the centre to Armitage. Play on. Is their time? Well, they've got to score from this flow of play. The transition's got to be uninterrupted now. Cripps trying hard. It hasn't been interrupted. Hill's been magnificent after the little blemish early. Mzungu to Ballantyne. And so Ballantyne, lovely kick inboard, and De Boer takes the mark. Well, they've never beaten the Saints here. They've won one Friday night match in Melbourne, and that was in 1999. They've played 10 times here on a Friday night, the Dockers. Barlow to wind it up and go long, and it's a behind.
So this is a long-range kicker, Barlow. Didn't know he was.
It's a massive win for the club, isn't it? Massive win for the club. I mean, they've beaten Geelong and they've beaten St Kilda away from home in the first month.
They brought over their young players just before Christmas to come to Melbourne, experience it, to get this sort of experience, paying dividends now.
Running hard, Gilbert, but almost run down, and the Dockers are going to win big here on a Friday night at Etihad against the Saints. It was a thriller, but on top they go home now. Big night for Ross and his boys. So let's go down to Richo after this fantastic result for the Dockers, and a man that really turned it around in the second half, Stephen Hill.
You certainly did. Huge second half by yourself, but the whole team, you had to withstand heaps of pressure.
Yeah, definitely. St. Kilda a great side. It was just, we just keep fighting to the end, and it was good by the boys to keep going and play 4 quarters.
Well, Stephen, it was obviously a huge week with the whole Ross Lyon thing. What sort of stuff did you bring into the game that he thought you had to implement against his old side?
Well, he knows the boys pretty well, so he gave us some advice on what to do with them. But he said just go out and play us sort of game and run and carry, and that's what we did.
You've beaten Geelong now and the Saints in Melbourne. Is that a big step forward for your footy club at this stage of the year?
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely good to win away. It's something that we need to keep working on and get better at. So, it's a special win.
And what's Ross Lyon brought to the group over the pre-season, and something that's clearly a lot different to the past?
I think the structures and that are more clear, and the boys are really understanding that. And he's gotten it's all work and all know it. So it's been really good.
Congratulations, terrific win.
Oh, thanks, mate. Cheers.
Yeah, great result for the club. Stephen Hill, 28 disposals. I mean, his second half was important.
But where he was at half-time, that's the critical point. He was down in the dumps. Jones had him out of the game. He's been tagged out of games before, and he found the spunk and fight. That's fantastic for Stephen Hill to come back in the second half after having a real downer early.
And the Saints players are going to come across and acknowledging Molly Meldrum here. I mean, Molly's sitting up in the box. So just an acknowledgement by the Saints. So probably their most famous fan, I guess. Not tonight, but they live to another day. Let's go down to Richo again, Matthew.
Well, Ross, really pleasing result, obviously, for yourself. What did you like most about the boys tonight?
I like most about their great effort. I didn't think we played that well. I thought we competed fiercely and really, they were dominating for a while. We fought and we pressured, and in the end, I thought we really outrun them really well. I thought our defence was superb, and I thought we spread them late, but they were inaccurate as well, and we took our chances. So I think it's as simple as that. And we turned the clearances around last quarter.
Yeah, that was a most of the night. You don't often win games when you lose clearances and contested, so a lot of positives there.
Yeah, I think we've got a lot of improvement, but to come to Melbourne and win on the big stage should give the group some confidence that we're on the right track.
Just the job of Crowley did on Dell. You identified him before the game. Must have been really pleased with that.
Yeah, he's a fantastic player, Nick Del Santo, and we know how damaging, and I thought Ryan Crowley's dog hungry, had a great summer, and he got just rewards tonight. It was fantastic.
Thanks for your time, Ross.
I think he's lost 9 kilos, Crowley, in the pre-season. Interesting, because Hill and Del Santo at half-time were in about the same spot.
They were about the same spot, but Crowley's maintained that hold over Del Santo, whereas Hill got out from under Clint Jones. They won all the numbers, St Kilda. I mean, inside 50s, 56 to 44. Clearances, they won easily. But they lost the game, mainly because I think Fremantle kicked 14 goals from only 44 inside 50 entries. That's a fantastic conversion of opportunities.
Lee, I asked you at half-time, and do you feel like Ross had any edge tonight? He knew the opposition so intimately. It's very rare we see this situation,
I guess he picked the right opponent for Crowley. He tried to, after a while, keep Fisher out of the game.
Bomber Thompson, you could argue, did the same with Geelong last year against the Essendon Footy Club.
Yeah.
This is a huge win for them, isn't it? This is big stuff.
No, the wins against good opposition away from home are always really a great morale boosters for any team.
So final scores here on a Friday night. It was the Dockers by 13 points. It was 11-13 the Saints to 14-8 Fremantle.